Gerhardt at his finest.
So I'm likely.
It's Irby. That's
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I'm likely gonna keep my mic muted on Skype, and I'll just unmute it to like answer your guys' questions or let you know like what's naming what.
Alrighty. Can we request a Sean Park feature match round one?
We already got a feature match from round one, but we can see how he's doing for the next couple rounds.
All right.
How many players do we have?
Looks like maybe 20, or probably like
sweet.
15, I'd say.
Yeah, that's good.
But all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go on mute and set up the overlay and let you guys do your thing.
Alrighty.
And thanks again for coming on, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, man,
Yeah, no
this is
problem,
great.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Good to see you.
How you doing, man?
Travis says get it up on YouTube sooner this time.
Travis? Oh, okay, yeah. I got it. I got last night's up pretty quick.
Oh God. You have JM and me trolling you some up all night.
What's up?
You posted last night.
I'm ready for some abuse.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what was your name, bud? Kim? Okay, I'm Kory, by the way. I don't know if I've met you in person yet.
JD, are you there?
Gotcha. So I guess I gotta ask, is it okay to put you on stream and have you up on YouTube and all that good stuff? Okay.
All right, cool. So, no worries. Kory said you were
Yeah, I got you.
Baltimore player?
And what you said, it's Kim, what's your last name?
Billy Button's best friend.
Ooh.
Oh, I've met you before.
Wait,
Yes, you have.
I remember now.
I don't know if we have met.
Cool, thank you. And can I sneak a peek at what
I
you're
don't think
playing?
so.
I don't. Yeah,
No, I met him at JJ's last party. The
Oh, okay.
Here's one.
Yep.
Oh, really? Okay,
Sweet.
that's cool. Did you brew that, or is that like a list?
So, what's your legacy deck of choice right now?
A 4-color Delver.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to be playing anymore. Haven't. Something with Tundra, I suppose. Maybe.
Dude, Tundra is so bad.
I know, but I gotta represent the Azorius Guild, man.
And I can't remember, Tom, do you
That
want
guild
Tom
is
or
dead.
Thomas on stream?
They've been killing it off for
It
years.
doesn't really matter to me, so if you've done one already, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
There's always miracles.
Yeah, Miracle's just so boring. I want
Yeah, it
dig
is.
through times so I can play.
Spice up your life.
Yeah, man. I would give anything to be able to play Esper Control again. I guess the deck still could be real, but
you
I don't
say you're
know.
relatively new to Legacy.
So it looks like we got some sort of Eldrazi. Ooh, we got Kim Wallace. I believe this is the same Kim Wallace that is known for his extensive modern collection and always has some interesting brews. Now, I guess the real question is if he's on.
How are we gonna ignore Dark Loam? 4-color Loam. It's just my favorite deck of all time.
Yeah, I mean that's the deck that I met you. Like when I met you, you were playing.
I still
you were all
own Foil
about that.
Japanese Devastating Dreams, even though that card's not good in the deck anymore.
You still. The real question is the foil Italian Grove of the Burnwillows.
Yep, still have them.
All right, then everything is right in the world.
Yeah, it's fine.
Now, I guess the real question is if Kim is going to be on the smaller new Eldrazi or the big old
No,
classic.
it's certainly going to be just a mud deck. Like I saw a Thorn just now in Lodestone Hall.
Okay.
You can pass that to me.
I think
yeah,
he's just
I see
playing like
as
mud
well.
with Thought Knot Seer and maybe Reality Smasher.
Sorry, it was one conflict and 4 what?
Okay, cool. Reality Smasher, that is the 5-drop that.
Trample, haste, target, and yeah, if you're
God, so
targeted
you haven't
by an
played
opponent's
standard
spell, you can discard it. Card, or it's countered.
All right.
Yeah, it's
That
like
card is definitely going to kill me a lot in Standard. I hope it does not kill me
just play Crackling Doom.
as much in Legacy. That's fair, but I feel like there's so many targets out of the ramp deck that I need to Crackling Doom for.
The ramp decks have shied away from Reality Smasher. A couple people boarded it week 1,
When is the modern season?
but
All right.
Thought
I
Knot
mean-
Seer is ultimately the better card.
Really? Okay.
And that card's gonna kill me just as much, if not more.
That card's gonna kill you more. Yeah.
So
It's interesting, the Eldrazi decks in Legacy right now, a lot of people are trying to break it, and there's like 4 or 5 different builds. You got like the Stompy version that plays like all the mid-range guys, along with like Chalice and Trinisphere, and then you've got like the ramp version, plays the big end guys, and then, I don't know, there's all kinds of different versions, like the mud variant, it's basically just mud deck.
yeah, if it's gonna be, if Eldrazi is a good deck in Modern, I feel like it has even more potential in Legacy, where it gets an extra copy of more Soul Lands, or 2 extra copies of Soul Lands. With
Well,
Yeah, I mean, the deck can play like 16 or
It's
to
actually
20
if you
soul
need room
lands.
to write notes.
and that's a totally reasonable access to be playing on. It is with its sacrifices. It doesn't get Brainstorm, my favorite card in Legacy, but it gets all the cards that I hate. So there's that.
If you don't get Brainstorm,
Oh, man,
but
we have a
you
little-
should probably get Chalice on one, so you're probably
A
good.
little
Yeah.
Missions Workshop action assembled already with Urborg and Ayabugan in the opener. Oh no!
That looks like 2 lands.
No! Alright, I guess the rest of the hand was probably a little too clunky. Didn't have any disruption.
Fair enough. What are you both on? 6? Yep.
I'm really loving the chat already.
Yeah, it's 0.
Are you?
Wow, Brainstorm is good. Yeah, JM is chilling.
No, I would never do that because fuck that deck. Yeah, I thought you were a Maverick.
I like it because it keeps Jeff Hoagland out of the format.
As it turns out, Maverick is not very good.
Anything that
Shots fired.
performance is gonna be good, right?
I'm trying to play all these creatures. Neat. I have this on Sand Grade. That card's real bad for you.
So it looks like we have 2 mulligans, 1 for each player so far. Or is Tom just shuffling up?
No, I think each player mulligan.
Okay. This is the same Thomas that won the Legacy Open in New Jersey, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, he played 4-color Loam there as well.
It's always good to see people sticking with the same deck. I mean, I guess if it's good enough to win a Legacy Open, I'm sure it's a fine choice for a weekly tournament. And looks like we've got 2
So,
Eldrazi Temple.
But to be fair, the Curio metagame is
Don't
quite
even know what
different.
that card does.
Tap for 1, tap for 2 if you
And looks like we got 1 scry to the top and 1 to the bottom.
It's true, that is an Eldrazi.
And
works. Okay.
turn 1, 2 drop.
Can confirm.
That's not even
I
bad
believe
for
that's
like
Eldrazi Mimic.
Yep.
2 mana, 2/1. When you have an Eldrazi come into play, you can copy its stats.
and it's only the stats.
Yeah, it's only the stats until end of turn. So like,
Yeah, but-
you
but, like, he
curve
can
that
follow-
guy into Reality Smasher and just 10 him.
Yeah, like next turn he could play another Soul Land, drop a Thought Knot Seer, bash for 4, and then the next turn drop a Reality Smasher and attack for 14.
Yeah, quite powerful.
With everything being so powerful in Legacy, it's nice to see just potentially some just good old beats.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to whether Thomas can find Wasteland or not and keep Kim on a balanced amount of mana.
Yeah.
But if Kim casts spells, like, his spells are just way better than Thomas's.
It looks like we've got, I guess, a
Mimic here?
relatively slow start, but
Yes,
potentially
it looks like
necessary.
the rest of his hand is Wasteland, Oblivion Sower, and I couldn't see the last card. If he gets another Soul Ring,
I think it's the
Soul
X
Land?
spell.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
believe
endless
that's
one.
an endless one with
Yeah,
Wasteland,
endless one.
so it should be an attack for 10 next turn,
Yep.
barring no Wasteland shenanigans or something like that. And let's see if Thomas has something like a Punishing Fire. That would be quite good in this situation.
Main deck Golgari Charm? Why not?
Oh, that would be gas. I don't think we're gonna see that one happen, but
Yeah, that would be a really...
looks like we're probably gonna have an abrupt decay this turn. I guess.
That seems likely. It looks like Kim's drawn Thought Knots here. It's a pretty good one.
Oh, okay, that looked like a Karn liberated for a second, but just with the bash for 8 this turn, hopefully.
Lots of Thought Seize.
For all those, yep. Attack for 8, take a card out of your hand. It's a pretty good start off a mulligan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tom's going to snap off the decay here because otherwise it's just going to disappear.
Do we have any idea what else is in Thomas's hand? I haven't been paying too close attention. I've been mostly
I
focusing
don't
on
think I've seen his
hand.
hand at all. I think
No,
he's been keeping his hand off now.
I got a flash of the Verdant Catacombs before he played it, but that was it.
Alright.
I think he has at least one more land. He has a Grove.
Yep.
It's like 2 dual lands in his hand.
Oh, so we do have the Punishing Fire. And that
Well,
is
we're gonna
definitely
see his hand now, so.
Punishing Fire is a very good card to dodge that Thought Knot Seer, because it does exile, correct?
Yep. So we have
So we got
Liliana, Grove, Scrubland, and
Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay. Got a lot of readers here.
I believe that
Most
is a
legacy
common-
players aren't up to snuff on their standard and draft cards.
That is very true. I believe.
Just
Seen
wait
some
till
of
he
the
casts
decks that-
Endless one next turn.
Yeah, speak.
And this one for 5, attack for 14. That's a strong line.
Strong line.
It'll only be 9 for now.
Yeah, because of the Punishing Fire coming back and being cast again.
But he's got a 3rd temple, so I think we're
If
going
I
to
were
see Oblivion Summon.
Kim, I would have wasted the
Waste.
Taiga end of turn, so that the Punishing Fire couldn't be cast this turn on the 2/1. But
Looks like Kim is seeing that line of the Punishing Fire and maybe taking a
kind of
different one.
regretting decisions that were made.
I think that's pretty accurate.
So we brought back a Punishing Fire by activating Grove of the Burning Willow. Nice combo. Definitely has given me some headaches in the past and for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
So I can respond to that.
Trouble with Endless one here is it's vulnerable to Abrupt Decay, because it's going to be converted mana cost 0 on the board. Something to keep in mind.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and what Thomas is asking the judge right now is if the Endless one leaves, if the Mimic still copies the power and toughness, which it does. So he's gonna have to kill the Mimic this turn, and the Endless one next turn.
And so most of the threats that Kim is presenting are going to be able to be handled by Thomas, but that Thought Knot Seer is giving him some serious trouble. It dodges Abrupt Decay, it dodges most of the removal in Thomas's deck, except for, I guess, a Liliana.
Yep, so it looks like Tom drew another Grove here, but it doesn't do him much good against a board of a 4/4 and a 6/6.
I feel like a lot of legacy decks will have trouble dealing with 4/4s, unless they're playing Swords of Plowshares. All the really good creatures like Delver Secrets, Young Pyromancer, Deathright Shaman, it's all in that sub 2 toughness range.
Yeah, so that's what's really exciting about these Eldrazi decks. In the metagame, wow, there's a 4th temple here. Don't think he needs the mana at this point.
Yeah.
But in the metagame right now, you know, everything else is 1 mana creatures, boltable creatures, etc. And then you just got 4 and 5 mana, 4/4s and 5/5s. Like,
Yeah, these Loam is a deck that preys on like Delver strategies because its cards are just a little bit more powerful and a little bit slower. But then when it matches up against a deck like Shardless Pogue, where the games are a little bit closer because the cards are a little bit more similar. But when it gets paired up against like an Eldrazi deck or a Cloudpost deck, it's just going to look embarrassing because it's not fast enough to get under them, and it is not nearly as powerful.
Absolutely, and it looks like the Eldrazi was able to overpower
Our new Eldrazi overlords.
Praise be to Emrakul. And
Emrakul didn't even come back, man. He left us all behind.
He's just too strong.
The great spaghetti in the sky.
One Emrakul is enough. I don't know if I would be able to play standard if they had reprinted him a second time. I definitely have too much pride to cast Emrakul at all, or cheat him into play. But that's just me. I'm not gonna take it personally. If other people decide to sleeve up Emrakul for their local legacy or modern tournaments.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm having
And
to
have
read
we
each
been
and
able
every
to
single
see
card.
at all what
Yeah, me
they are
too.
going to be sideboarding for these matchups?
I like
I
it.
saw Pithy Needles
yeah, thanks.
coming in from Kim's side, I believe.
This guy's never shown up on stream.
I would guess that those needles are most likely trying to name
I
Wasteland.
know the guy.
Wasteland and Liliana.
Knight of the Reliquary.
I can put the
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, Liliana is probably a headache for this Eldrazi deck.
card here.
There's a lot of live targets for
I would absolutely have shit back on stream before this idiot.
Well, what if they got paired?
Then I just wouldn't put shit back on stream. Like, easy.
It seems like a lot of the really problem cards for the Eldrazi deck are like these Wastelands, these Lilianas, things like Jace the Mind Sculptor. So I believe I saw 4 Pithy Needle in his sideboard, so it seems like a very good choice.
Deck in the world.
It is a little strange if Kim is actually playing
Yeah.
XX counter and Chalice of the Void.
I've never seen the full playmat pile shuffle. It has to be quite intimidating from the other side of the table.
So what?
You shuffling Japanese
Just get in their head.
Strata cards?
Uh-oh.
Oh man, and then shuffle the deck in upside down.
These were where my Chalice of the Voids were.
I'd have
they were
to
just
say it's
placeholders. Just from a pile of cards somebody gave me.
Yeah, it's a good thing he's catching it now. I know it's always annoying and a little bit,
Oh, it would be miserable mid game.
scary mid-game because you never know what people are up to. But I'm sure Kim is a stand-up guy. He would never try to do any shenanigans.
You just play like big D so fast.
So did we see anything that Thomas is going to be bringing into the match? Do you know, Harlan, with your experience with Loam decks, what could potentially be in his sideboard?
Okay.
He could easily have. I don't know if he's playing a wish board or not. If he's playing a wish board, that like a Burning Wish package, he'll have a lot less cards to board in. If he's playing a normal sideboard, which I'm sure Kory will confirm for us in the chat.
Okay, so we're being told there is no Burning Wish or there is no wish board for Thomas. It's just a more traditional, I guess, Dark Maverick style board. I pulled up Thomas's first place list, and it looks like at that particular time he had an Aetherborn Canonist, a Containment Priest, a Reclamation Sage, Engineered Plague, 3 Leyline of the Void, 1 Golgari Charm, 2 Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, 1 Garruk Relentless, 1 Maelstrom Pulse, 2 Thoughtseize, and 1 Toxic Deluge. I'm sure his board is somewhat similar to that, so I'm sure maybe the Deluge or the Maelstrom Pulse are in.
Yeah, the Garruk would probably be a good inclusion also. Just having like a 2/2 every turn after the first turn, just like a free ability every turn, will help him keep on pace. Let him chump block and get ahead.
Yeah, I feel like this matchup really comes down to Thomas maintaining Kim's board. If he lets it get too out of hand, it's going to be a hard battle for him to
or
win.
maintaining parity and getting caught up to the board when
Yeah.
Kim accelerates ahead.
So you may.
And a turn 2 Thought Not
Well, there
Seer
goes the
off.
deluge.
Yep, that is what he's going to be taking. Because that is Thomas's cleanest answer to the things that Kim is going to be doing. Kim's not really going to be casting too many non-creature spells or non-permanent spells.
Correct. But if we don't have a wasteland from Kim's side, this Maze of Ith will buy Thomas a lot of time.
But it looks like we might see a turn 3 6/6 off an Endless One from Kim's hand. I know he has a City of Traders, and I'm not entirely sure if he has a Endless One, but I do see the 6/6 that exiles 4 cards off the top of his library.
Oblivion Sower. I believe it's a
Yes.
6/8 actually.
Oblivion Sower is a
6/8.
lot more likely to hit when your opponent has 26 lands in their legacy deck.
I'll take it.
Yeah, definitely much better than
quite
if he was going to be
convenient.
playing against Delver deck with only 19, 18 lands.
Sadly for
And it look-
Thomas, his game plan is to go long, and there's an Ulamog in Kim's hand. So that's going to be a hard one to fight through,
Yeah.
but we'll see how it goes.
But if he does play the City of Traders next turn, it's gonna any future soul lands are gonna trade off a little bit. But it looks like we have a Thoughtseize, so that Ulamog might not be an immediate problem. It does not. I believe the new Eldrazi's do not have the new or have the old shuffle back into the library trigger.
No, Ulamog just sits in the graveyard.
Okay, so it looks like it'll be potentially a permanent answer to Ulamog. But I guess this
I think
Endless One
Thomas
and
is-
Oblivion Sower.
Yeah, I think Thomas
Could
is much
prove some
better to take
problems.
Oblivion Sower this turn.
Yeah, Oblivion Sower
Seems to be thinking Endless One, but the Oblivion Sower will get Kim straight to Ulamog.
Absolutely. And Thomas does have a lot more answers to Endless One than Oblivion Sower, with Oblivion Sower's high converted mana cost, being able to dodge Abrupt Decay. Oh, but it looks like he is choosing Endless One.
And I will
Yep.
play a land.
And that Wasteland's going to make it so that the Maze of Ith isn't actually a big deal at all.
And discard it.
It looks like this is going to be
Thomas
a rough...
is really going to have to stick like a Knight of the Reliquary next turn,
Go ahead.
but the Knight won't even be that large. Sadly.
But the Knight will be able to make a 20/20, I believe. Or it
Is he
does-
playing the Thespian Stage Dark Depths combo?
I'm looking at his list now, and I believe it isn't.
Cast target.
And we just have confirmation from Kory that there is
I'm
no
gonna abrupt decay
uh,
into this guy.
combo kill out of Thomas's deck, so it does look like a Knight of the Reliquary will not be able
Just a
to
normal grind you out mid-range
out
deck.
of this. I'm sure there's... Oh, okay, so we see the Abrupt Decay
You sacrifice
getting rid of that Mimic.
I don't. I need to read the card.
Oh man, and doesn't even crack the city because it's not lands you
When
played.
it has Exile's top 4, then you may put
Kim confirming that right
of
now.
land cards
So
that
Kim is
players-
looking up that right now.
That does not trigger City Traders. But
question.
Yeah, I believe Oblivion Sower says put the lands into play, not play
Yeah.
that.
Oblivion Sower, City of Traders, land from exile.
it
But
should
I could
not.
be mistaken.
And it looks like we're having a judge call right now, trying to figure that out.
I don't believe you can play them because they're not in your hand. You can't play cards.
Right.
Play your opponent's cards. I don't know. I guess you can, but
What's that?
No. So, like, if you crack a fetch
So
land with
it
City of
looks like
Traders in
Visitor
play, like, if the fetch land was
636
already in
is
play,
asking you,
putting
Harlan,
the
what do you
land in
recommend
off
in
the
Modern?
fetch land does
And
not
you've been
trigger. So
a
that
big fan of
shouldn't
Infect and Zoo.
Yeah.
Is there any
I've
other
been
deck that's on
playing
your
it.
It's
radar?
only when you, like, play a land from your hand.
What was that?
Are there any other decks on your radar?
I
Potentially.
think Jeff Hoogland's Tiki Core deck is very good,
Library.
and the Malira Coco Anafenza decks, like the one Logan Mize and Brian Carpenter have been advocating, are both very good.
Yeah, I believe both of those decks are very good choices for the current Modern metagame, and it looks like the City of Traders does not trigger when
As it turns out, he has
Oblivion Sower's ability resolves, so he does have access to 7 mana for Eldrazi spells, but only 5 colorless mana for something like a Karn Liberated or a Lodestone Golem, I guess.
So that's the weakness of playing the non-Eldrazi spells, especially the big payoff ones in these kind of decks, because you don't get any benefit out of Temples or Eyes when you're trying to play those cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Eye is just a do nothing when you're trying to cast Lodestone Golem.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I mean, we've only had the cards for 2 weeks, so there's definitely some tinkering to be done with this Eldrazi deck. Trying to figure out if you need Lodestone Golems or Chalice of the Voids.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see Kim split on the lands. I don't know if he's buying 16 total or if he's trimmed on cities or ancient tombs.
Yeah.
But I think Lodestone might have been an inclusion because of being light on threats. And you're already kind of having a mud style approach anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know
The
how
prison-
good it actually is in the deck, but
Prison strategy
seems
is
like
going to be
that-
very good with
that
these
could be
type
the
of heavy
argument for
beaters.
I'm surprised not to see the City of Traders and the Wasteland being traded for the Maze of Ith this turn. But I think you just want to push for damage and get Thomas dead.
Yeah, that is certainly interesting. I mean, I guess Kim is valuing this Ulamog a little bit more. I do not recognize what Eldrazi that is. Oh, it looks like it's an Endbringer.
Yeah, it's an Endbringer.
That's the Pinger Eldrazi, right?
It pings
Yeah.
and it draws cards, I believe.
Yeah, so Kory put the Oracle text in the chat.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh,
Thank you
sweet.
for that, Kory.
Yes, sir.
I gotta say, we gotta
Anytime.
give props to Kory for doing the Snapcaster stream. It's definitely helped me stay in touch with Legacy after some disappointing cuts to the Legacy coverage online.
Yeah, I think the community reaction to that whole shenanigans has been really impressive, and it's really shown the value of the format in general. I think Legacy has just been stronger ever since that happened.
So it looks like we do have a Maelstrom Pulse from Thomas, getting rid of that Endbringer. That definitely would have given him some problems, being able to ping and draw cards.
Yeah, but he's still really far behind on this board.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here, Kim's actually missing lethal by not wastelanding the Maze of Ith. We'll see if it ends up mattering. I don't think it will, but yeah,
Sour,
the
he's
cool
fine.
thing about Wasteland and Rashad Port against Maze of Ith is no matter when you kill them, as long as your creature isn't actually attacking, it doesn't do anything. So you don't have to do it on your opponent's turn or anything. You can wait until your main phase and do it.
Did Thomas reveal too many cards from? No, sorry. It looks like Thomas was just putting the cards from exile from the previous Oblivion, so it looked like he was exiling
So
4 or more.
FYI, you could have wasted his maze and then swung lethal that turn.
And it looks like there's no help really
okay,
from.
I'm just making sure.
And that's gonna be the first. That's gonna be the first match of this tournament.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I think if Tom was playing the combo, he would have had a chance there, but the Dark Maverick build of 4-color Loam is just there's nothing really much doing against Eldrazi.
Yeah. And it looks like Thomas didn't really get to see any of
gonna
his
run
really
around.
high impact cards.
I'm going to run around the room real quick, guys, and see if there's any more games going to board real quick. See if we can get another match. Be right back.
Okay. We appreciate that. But yeah, it looks like Thomas didn't really get to see any of his high impact cards in either of the matches. There's no Knight of the Reliquaries or Lilianas that were able to resolve. I guess that really just showcases the power of Thought Not Seer. It's just
Yeah.
it's such a strong card when you get to play it on
That
turn
excuse
2.
does not hold weight with Gerhardt.
Yep. Yeah, Tom's deck will look a lot worse when his cards like Abrupt Decay and Punishing Fire
It definitely
don't have a lot of
couldn't
targets,
be against
because
it.
a lot of Legacy decks, they kind of fold to
No, I'm playing.
2 of those cards being cast in a game, and
Yeah.
it buys you a lot of time. But with the Eldrazi deck, those cards don't really kill all their threats, and they just have a lot more. They have a lot higher threat density than most other decks in Legacy, and that will give the Dark Loam decks fits a lot of times.
Oh, so it looks like Kim is playing Chalice of the Void. That was something that I was really a little bit confused with. I wasn't sure where the Chalice is going to be in this list because, like we said earlier, some of these non-Eldrazi spells are just really hard to justify playing when you play 4 copies of Eldrazi Temple and 2 to 3 copies of Eye of Ugin. But I guess the power of Chalice of the Void is just too much to ignore. It really just shuts off and wins you a lot of these matches where otherwise you'd be pretty dead in the water, like Storm or a lot of these other combo decks where Kim is not going to be interacting very favorably with.
Yeah, most likely the 4-color Loam deck also has 4 Chalice of the Void. A lot of these decks that don't play Force of Will go to Chalice to try and slow down the combo decks until they can deploy their heavy-hitting threats, and it's just an added benefit against like the Delver decks.
Yeah,
It usually just shuts
I was
off
hoping
the
for
vast
just a big
majority
dumb
of their
void or
deck,
something.
and against decks like Miracles and things, it just turns off Swords to Plowshares, so your threats are a lot more active against the control decks of the format.
Absolutely. As someone who has played a fair share of Miracles, Chalice of the Void can be a very troublesome card, especially when it's off one of these soul lands on turn 1 where you can't play a Sensei's Divining Top.
Yeah.
Being able to turn off things like Ponder or Swords of Plowshare or Brainstorm are just really hard for you to put together and get a good draw from the Miracles deck.
And just mold it like.
I mean, like, I'm talking like
all the
game
way.
1. Like,
Let's see, let's look at the chat, see if we got any questions.
Right.
But like game 2 and 3, like you just mold the ley line.
Simba, Billy Buttons just told me to tell you that he thinks you're pretty.
He's on.
Oh, thank you. I really miss Billy. He was a great guy.
Billy is a great guy.
Is there someone else coming over here?
I think everybody
Not
can
right
agree on
now.
that.
There aren't any games going forward.
Oh, Billy, I'm going to be in Baltimore this weekend. You should come hang out. I guess you'll probably be at regionals. You love Modern.
Yeah.
Billy?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Did love Modern for a while,
Does it,
at least.
I gotta say, after seeing his Ghostway deck, that is definitely
Oh, he
something
started
I
playing
can.
Ghostway? That's probably why he doesn't love Modern anymore.
Did you see what he moved on to after Ghostway?
I did not. Give us the details.
He started
Any
playing,
deets on this one?
I just need any deets about Billy's life in general.
So he hasn't been on it for a while. He hasn't played Modern in a while, but I'm sorry, my dogs are raising a fuss. But he's actually started playing Brave Sir Robin in Modern.
What happened?
So that's the Knight of the Reliquary Retreat to Coral Helm combo, and he slotted it into a traditional Abzan Company list. And he he day 2'd the GP in Philadelphia.
He was playing that in Pittsburgh, correct?
Yeah, in Pittsburgh, that's where it was. He day 2'd the
Okay,
GP.
yeah. I do remember him telling me about that deck. It definitely seemed great. I know he definitely did not get enough sleep that weekend. I remember seeing him and he was telling me about all the energy drinks that were keeping him standing that weekend.
My 7 was like.
I mean, against that deck, I would mull a good hand to find a ley line.
Yeah, I'm actually not a huge fan of the Brave Sir Robin, or Nightfall as most people call it, as a Modern deck, just because it takes a lot of damage to it. It deals a lot of damage to itself going off, so it struggles against one of the more popular decks in the format, which is Burn.
Yeah.
It also usually struggles a little bit with Infect, just because they're so fast.
Oh, that's interesting. You play both. Okay, and
Yeah, and it
It's
definitely
definitely
seems
very
like-
good against the Jund decks of the format.
Yeah, and it definitely seems that Modern is turning into a more turn 3, turn 4 kill deck, or turn 3, turn 4 kill format,
it's just like it becomes super awkward.
with Burn and Infect becoming much more popular with the banning of Splinter Twin. Alright, so it looks like Gibusum wants us to tell Tom I say dredged. I'm sorry, Gibusum, but I don't think we're actually going to be able to talk to Thomas much, but perhaps we could tell Kory to relay the message. Looking through the chat right now.
Born confused. Don't worry, Simba is a very pretty man.
Well, thank you, Harlan. I really appreciate that. You're not too bad yourself with that long hair. Definitely your best feature.
Whoa. I have much greater features than my hair.
Oh, well, really? I'm not so sure. You have
I mean, my hair's pretty great, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't saying that you don't have great features. I just believe that your hair is just so high on that list.
Why is it all gonna be superficial, man? I have a great personality, too.
I know, but
It's all about who you are on the inside.
absolutely, that's a very, very fair point coming from Harlan Fear. But the hair is definitely going to bring more people in, so they get to see that great personality that you got.
Oh, so it's all about the book cover, not the contents?
Well, no, you got to have a great book cover to draw people to the books. That's why you see these great illustrations on so many books.
Oh, man.
Now,
Kory's
first,
gone.
I know he's just checking the room for any leftover matches.
He must have found
Mal-
a really good match to Bird. He never came
Yeah.
back.
Absolutely. Malpheus, I believe the Punishing deck does play for main deck Chalice of the Void. That's at least going off Tom's first place list from the Star City Open. But I'm not sure if he has any number of engineered explosives.
Oh, no,
believe
I think he's talking about the Nightfall deck from Modern.
Oh, okay. Excuse me, Malpheus.
Yeah, he says Nightfall there. I believe they sideboard explosives. I don't think they play Chalice because they play cards like Noble Hierarch and Birds of Paradise. But
Yeah, and it's a lot harder for a deck like Nightfall and Modern to justify playing Chalice of the Void when you don't have things like Harlan, what's the mox that I'm thinking of?
well, actually, most Chalice decks in Modern don't have accelerants, except for the like red-white prison decks. They play Simian Spirit Guide, but other than that, every other Chalice deck is just trying to cast it on 2.
Okay,
Mostly
well,
the sideboard card.
enlighten me into what other decks in Modern are playing Chalice of the Void? As someone who plays Jeskai Control, I am quite
They're mostly
disheartened.
French decks. Summer Bloom used to play them in the sideboard. Obviously, that is no longer a deck. I guess if they still are playing Summer, like the Azusa version, that's a deck that could board them. Affinity could probably get away with it. Would be my guess.
Yeah.
Most of their cards are 2-drops.
I can see Affinity playing that. They're either, and yeah, you are right. It is.
It really only shuts off. The problem is it shuts off most of their other sideboard cards that they like to play.
Yeah, I think that's season. Signal Pest is actually a quite strong card in the Affinity deck, being able to give Battle Cry
Yeah,
+1/+0.
it's definitely the unsung hero of the deck. It's no cranioplating, but it definitely is a workhorse.
Hey, just quick update for you guys. This is Kory. I've been waiting for rounds to finish, and as soon as every single round has finished, they were like, "Oh, that was it. That was the set, 2-0 or 2-1," and I'm just like, "Crap." So I'm still waiting for a match to free up to throw on camera.
All right, no problem.
There's like a lot of matches though, which is really weird. But I'm still looking. We'll see if we can. We might just actually get some guys to just play under the camera for funsies, but we'll see. I'll be right back.
That's fine with me. Definitely.
Yeah, Eldrazi Overlords
Me, Scout?
took over
No
too
more.
fast.
Well, I might actually
Yeah.
just have you play somebody if you
Oh,
don't
okay.
mind.
Sure, I'm down.
Because like everybody's playing still.
Where were we? Oh, we were talking about Modern Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
and Affinity.
I don't like Chalice in Modern because it just
Yeah.
doesn't shut off nearly as much as it does in Legacy.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
It does. That's why you don't see it as often. Is it doesn't shut off as many things, and it also you just can't play it for one on turn one.
What's your MO
Like there's no Mox Diamond.
If I
or
could have you
Ancient
sit
Tomb,
here and just fan your deck
so the card
out,
is just a lot.
and then I'll
weaker
just have like
all
some
around.
questions. And
There
we
isn't
can
really
talk
a
about it.
good way for you to get ahead on mana in the early turns of the game. Especially, even though you have things like Simian Spirit Guide, you have to go down a card for that, and that can sometimes just put you behind. And I feel like the threats with Legacy having such a more deeper card pool, there's so many. Just
I can help
over
you,
time,
sir.
there's been so many more printings of good 1-mana spells, and with Modern being a little bit
Oh, we
shorter,
can just do
the
it
card
early,
pool
it's
being
fine.
a little bit more shallow, there's a lot better 2-drops. Like if you go turn one, if you pitch a Simian Spirit Guide to go for a turn one Chalice, and then just over the next couple turns your opponent plays like a Tarmogoyf or a Dark Confidant, you're going to be just so far behind. It's going to be hard for you to catch up with that.
Yeah, that's
top of
actually
that-
the interesting thing about Legacy versus Modern, is like Chalice in Modern sees about as much play as Spell Snare does in Legacy, where Spell Snare sees a ton of Modern play because the format is much more based off 2-drops, where Legacy is
So-
vast majority 1-drops.
It looks
Yeah.
like Thomas is. We're going to be getting a deck tech here, which is going to be
The old
interesting.
round
It's
one
good-
lost deck tech.
What?
That is fair. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there want to see this list. I
What is
know
it?
No,
actually Loam is-
I love this deck.
Unlost deck tech. What's up,
we
guys?
run a really tight ship here at Snapcasters. But yeah, so it looks like there hasn't been too much change out of Thomas's deck after glossing over his first place list. This is definitely a more niche deck to be playing right now. But as someone who can appreciate non-blue decks, I appreciate this deck. It seems to have like a lot of elements.
Right.
All
that
right, Thomas.
draw-
So what are we? For those that don't know, what are we playing today?
This is Dark Loam, or what some people call 4-color Loam. So this is a kind of a mid-range control deck, what I would kind of describe it as,
Okay.
like a rock deck. So you play some prison elements. You have Chalice of the Void to play that role, and that does a really good job of shutting down a lot of things that decks and Legacy try to do with high velocity decks. So any of those decks that play all the blue 1-mana cantrips, they usually struggle with Chalice of the Void, or any of those other decks trying to be super efficient with low mana cost spells. And so you then also play like a bunch of very powerful 2-mana removal that's really good at answering most of the efficient creature threats in Legacy. So Delvers and Tarmogoyfs, usually pretty good at like getting that kind of stuff. Punching Fire is great at getting lots of little weenies like Elves or in Death and Taxes. That card's great. As you saw in that last match, not so great against creatures that are greater than 3 CMC. So yeah,
that looked like a tough matchup.
that's my first time playing against a deck like that, and that seemed pretty bad. One interesting thing though is that like I've played against decks that play Mist Hollow Griffin, like Aluren or any of those decks, and that's also pretty bad because answering a 3/3 flyer that costs 4 mana is pretty tricky with this deck.
Oh yeah, Miss Hollow Griffin. Yeah, any bug decks in general actually have problems with that card. But so now, correct me if I'm wrong. You've had a lot of success. I know you've won the New Jersey Open with this deck. How long have you been on it?
How long have I been on it? I started playing it, I guess, about 7-8 months ago. It saw a lot of success in Europe early last year, and I saw the list there. I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So I was playing Maverick at the time, had all the most of the cards, so I picked up the Chalice of the Voids and the Mox Diamonds and just gave it a ran. I thought it was a sweet deck. I loved it. I got to play Knight of the Reliquary, which is my favorite Magic card, and then like Liliana Veil, which is perhaps my second favorite Magic card. So all my sweet favorite Magic cards I got to play, and it seemed really strong. So I started playing it a lot, and then just doing well with it. So kept playing it.
Gotcha. That's cool. So I guess going over the card count here, if I recall, this is I want to say a pretty standard list. I think.
I would say it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
This is the exact 60 I ran in New Jersey actually.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because I remember like we've talked about this deck a lot online, and we both feel pretty comfortable with this 60. I can't really imagine changing a lot. There's some people that run like the Dark Depths combo. There's some people that run like Kasali Pride Mage in the main, and some other silver bullets here and there. It's mostly just meta calls where you want those to go. But I guess just going over what all the different things this deck can do. I like to say it's like a deck of engines because it has so many different engines. The idea is it's kind of deceptive what it's capable of doing because you have Life from the Loam, so you can actually just wasteland, your opponent's out of the game, which is a thing in the format. You can just recoup advantage to ramp into like big threats like Lily and Knight, and Mox Diamond is Accelerant, which basically just lets you get to your turn 2 on turn 1, and this deck's best spells are all 2-drops.
Or 3-drops.
Or 3-drops.
But playing those on turn 2 is pretty backbreaking too.
Yes, absolutely. Or sometimes maybe in the turn 1 Knight. It's pretty.
I've got the turn 1 Knight before. I got the turn 1 Liliana, and then another big thing that Mox Time allows you to do is it allows you to get a turn 1 Chalice of the Void, which can be really great. And as you said, like if you're on the draw and you have a Mox Diamond, suddenly you just stole a turn and you're on the play equivalent.
Or if you're on the play and just have the turn 1 Chalice, you can. That's just actually game over for
a lot of decks.
Half the format. So
I mean, even just playing like a turn 1 Dark Confidant is usually very good, or turn 1 Sylvan Library.
Yeah. One thing I really liked about this deck is actually how well it plays around Chalice of the Void, and actually kind of like punishes people for playing these like 1-drop blue decks with like 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder. Like it almost just pushes that deck pretty hard in a controlled field.
Yeah, any of those fair decks that like try and play that game, it's very, very good against. And it's got the ability to go super long. It's got a lot of card draw in Sylvan Library and Dark Confidant. As you mentioned, it's got the Wasteland, Life from the Loam, Night of the Reliquary, Engine 2.
So what are some of the things like we have a little Green Sun Zenith engine?
Yeah, just like a touch of Green Sun Zenith. So like I like to think of this deck as like kind of a little bit of Maverick, a little bit of Jund, and a little bit of kind of Chalice of the Void sprinkled in there. So the Green Sun Zenith has a couple roles here. So number 1, it can actually act as a turn 1 play with Dryad Arbor. So you can use Green Sun Zenith to search for 1 green and use X0 and find Dryad Arbor, which basically then acts as a Llanowar Elves. One of the great things about that is that you don't need to have 4 Llanowar Elves or 4 Noble Hierarch or Dark Tribe, the Third Shamans or whatever you would play otherwise. Because then when you do play Chalice of the Void, Green Sun Zenith on 1 or whatever you would have on 1 in its place would be shut off. But since you have Green Sun Zenith, you can go for 1 for Dryad Arbor if you don't have another turn 1 play. But if you have a Chalice of the Void, then Green Sun Zenith can go and get you something else, like one of your silver bullets. The 2 main deck being Scavenging Ooze and Gaddock Teeg. So this is great for eating graveyards, and then Gaddock Teeg is obviously great against a lot of combo decks, and also against Miracles. So Gaddock Teeg is phenomenal against Storm, Elves, surprisingly, because it shuts off Natural Order and Green Sun Zenith, and also against Miracles. Also in the sideboard, I play like 1 other Green Sun Zenith target with Reclamation Sage. This could be a Kasali Prime Mage or Reclamation Sage, just depending on what you prefer. And then finally, Green Sun Zenith allows you to find another Night of the Reliquary, or find a Night of the Reliquary if you need that. So that's nice to have a few more copies, pseudo copies of your finisher.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It is worth noting that there is some disynergy in the deck between the Green Sun Zenith, the Chalice, and the Teeg. But in my experience of playing this deck, you usually resolve these before Teeg even factors into an equation.
Usually that's true. So usually the Chalice will come down before Teeg, or usually if I have a Green Sun Zenith,
you're
I can get
not
Teeg,
really likely to get Teeg, and even when you do, it's usually
or
more
if you
backbreaking.
or if you Green Sun Zenith for Teeg, then that works just fine, and then you shuffle away your Green Sun Zenith. And
That's a good
gone.
point.
Yeah, and then the other thing's like Liliana. So Liliana is phenomenal in this deck. she can be a tiny bit tricky to cast, and you have to like search carefully to get the double black.
Right.
But she works really well with Punishing Fire and Life from the Loam. And since you have a Mox Admin, she can often come down early enough to just completely take over a game. If she comes down on a board where your opponent only has 1 creatures or no creatures, Liliana the Veil is usually going to win you that game.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
She's one of those planeswalkers that I feel you often get to ultimate her.
Yeah.
I like often just ultimate people and just use it as like, you know,
That is a
double
nice
Stone
out
Rain.
to permanents that you can't answer with Abrupt Decay.
True.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like I find I really like Lily against Miracles, where you just have these really long grindy games where like they have a resolve counterbalance top, and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna tick up Lily until I make you sack one of those permanents, and then I'm gonna go start casting my spells.
Yeah.
I also like how you sort of have like a card advantage engine with.
Oh, you have a lot of those. Like here,
Yeah.
here. So like Life from the Loam with the cycle lands.
Yeah, Loam. It's like the Loam engine, if you will, is nice. I like that like both the Punishing Fires and the Loams you can pitch to Lily's +1, and you
Yep.
can just actually recoup the card loss.
Yeah.
You know, this is almost like Bob's deck. Like this is,
Yeah.
I think he's the only creature that made it from the original Aggro Loam list, which was like a Seismic Assault deck almost.
Yeah, I never played that deck, but I think you might be right. The other thing that Dark Confidant does that is great is that like you can clock people with him. He gets in for 2 every turn, comes down early, and the other reason that Dark Confidant or Bob is so great in this deck is because if you look at all the spells, you've got some 3s in there, but your curve tops out at 3, and then you have a large number of 0 casting cost spells. You have 4, 0, 0. So that means when you actually look at the CMC of the deck, it's ridiculously low. Even though you have some like plays that cost like a fair amount of mana, like Green Sun Zenith for Nether Kory costs 4, but your CMC is somewhere like hovering around 1, I would guess. So that means usually Dark Confidant is not dealing you a lot of damage in a game.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So as far as sideboard, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I'm gonna should I put this up? Or?
Yeah, here we can pull this up here.
Yeah. So for terms of sideboard. So I play 2 Thought Seizes, because sometimes the Chalice of the Voids need to come out, and then you need something to do on turn 1. Also, against really fast combo decks, you can bring in Thought Seize, and Thought Seize them even while you keep Chalice of the Void in, because some combo decks will kill you so fast that you just need to be able to do something on turn 1 to slow them down or stop them.
You need to get a turn 2, ideally.
These are 3 Hate Bears you can bring in. These are good against Storm. Also, Thalia is actually really good against Miracles. You play a Karakas, and so just playing a Thalia and then keeping open a Karakas.
Boo-boo.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm just going to keep my 2-1 and just get after you for 2 a turn and just play the slow game like that while you're doing your card advantage stuff with Sylvan Library or Life from the Loam and cycling lands.
Makes sense. Yeah.
You can get swarmed by creature decks that kind of play out creatures too fast. Or you can get overwhelmed by elves that swarm you, so a couple Golgari Charms is good for that. You know, it's got versatile cards, it's got a couple different modes.
Yeah.
Maelstrom Pulse, so Abrupt Decay only hits CMC 3 or less, and as you mentioned earlier, Liliana can do some work cleaning up permanents that you can't otherwise answer, but sometimes they just play a big creature early and you're in real trouble. So Maelstrom Pulse is like a concession to that, but you only have the 1, so. And then Toxic Deluge is just another thing, like if people are swarming you early or if the board gets out of control, you can have a little bit of problems. So Toxic Deluge is really good to clean that kind of stuff up. I run 3 Leyline of the Voids because this deck really likes to shut down people's graveyards for decks that are doing really unfair things, such as kind of like Reanimator or Dredge. So I found this card to be really good in this deck, especially since it's one-sided. It's asymmetric graveyard hate.
So it doesn't affect our Knight.
It doesn't affect because it doesn't affect our Knight, doesn't affect our Loams, doesn't affect our Punishing Fires, but it still stops their graveyard. So these 2 over here, these are tokens. These 2 over here are kind of like flex slots, if you will. Garruk's really good against Miracles. You'd be surprised at how often just making a 2/2 Wolf every turn is good enough against Miracles. Also, if you notice, there's a lot of like troublesome permanents here for Miracles to deal with. So Chalice of the Void's permanent, Chalice of the Void's a permanent, Liliana's a permanent, and Sylvan Library's a permanent. So just bringing in another permanent that's not a creature that they have to answer overloads their council sessions. Because usually they only play 1 or 2 maybe post board, and so they can't deal with them all. Centaur Vinecrasher is something that I'm testing out. This is a new card from the Commander set, and I was trying to see if it's good against like Shardless Bug because again, it's a CMC above 3, so bug decks are going to have trouble answering it. It seems like it could be good in the mirror, just go over the top, and also just against other things like that. So I'm still testing it. I actually have yet to cast it. but I want to.
Oh
and
man,
so
just wait. It's gonna feel so good when you do, and you get him. So I've beaten an Emrakul with that card before.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That must feel pretty good.
Pretty spicy. Also, one thing to note about Kura, I bring him in against Shardless Pogue too, because
Yeah, I did that too, yeah.
he fights Baleful Strix, Shardless
Yep.
Agents, and Deathrite Shamans, and flips and makes tokens that
You then sacrifice and get
Tarmogoyfs
nice. Yeah.
cannot beat.
True.
So the 1/1 Death Touch, they cannot get through
Yeah,
efficiently.
That's a good point. I definitely bring him in against Shardless Pogue too. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, this Reclamation Sage is just something you can bring in to have a searchable artifact enchantment removal.
Yeah, I commonly do this against decks that I'm worried about Blood Moon, because like a lot of times if we even think there's a Blood Moon, we can just get a basic forest.
Yep.
And that way our
You always have green sun. Yeah, you always have forest in
into-
your green sun zenith. Yep, that's absolutely true. Yeah. So if you're talking about like some like places like like tuning it to your local meta or whatever, the main deck 60 I found is really tight. So again, like that main 60 was like these cards up here. I found this really tight.
100% in agreement. You have to have a really good reason to change one of these cards, I think.
Yeah, so like everything there serves a very good purpose. Everything there is super impactful and has a very specific role to play in a lot of matchups. So one card that could be a flex slot is a 4th Abrupt Decay. I found it incredibly useful to have it main. But if you wanted to,
even Screws, I think, is borderline cuttable.
I feel like for me, you can mess a little bit with the configuration of lands. Like you can drop one of these lands and like either add another utility land or add a swamp if you're worried about lots of Blood Moons in your meta. But other than that, like I feel that these are really the only 3 cards you can really mess with, in my opinion.
I agree.
I can see an argument for taking out Teague if you don't have a lot of Elves, Storm, and Miracles in your meta. But that's a rare meta when you don't have any of those.
I think it's a good catch-all. Like it's probably worth having. Like, and I definitely think it's worth running in the main.
Did you remember to introduce him as New Jersey champion?
Yeah,
Thomas Keating?
the champ.
Okay, good.
My man.
Necessary.
Yeah, I was rooting for you pretty hard at that event.
Yeah, I recall you being like outside like the feature match playpen area, you going crazy all the time.
Yes,
you
and I recall.
I should have.
Yeah, you definitely should have.
Because then I could have Punishing Fire in return. So the thing is that I actually never got up to enough mana to do that, so it wouldn't have mattered. But it could have mattered, and so I should have done it.
You should have done it.
Yeah.
That part's important. Okay, that's fine, as long as you know.
Yeah, I realized that, but it also didn't happen to matter that game. But since it could have, I should have done it. Yeah, that's right. You're right.
So if I recall, when you went up to New Jersey to play in the Open, I remember you saying you weren't even planning on playing the second day. You were just going to play for funsies. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. So I was visiting my girlfriend's parents with her for Thanksgiving, because the New Jersey Open was the weekend after that. And so she went shopping with her mother, and so I snuck away to play Legacy for a day. And the next day we were planning to like do some errands, spend some time with her folks, and then drive back to Washington D.C., which is roughly where we are right now. And so since I was doing so well, I told her that I couldn't do that.
I mean, doing so well translates into going undefeated day one.
Yeah. No, actually, I had a defeat day one.
Oh, you did?
I think I was 8-1 day one.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember
just 8-1.
what I lost to.
I remember seeing a post that you were. When did your loss come in? Was it the last?
Pretty late. It might have been like the 7th or 8th round.
Because I remember you saying you started off like 6-0.
I was definitely 6-0 at one point. I forget exactly. It was either the 7th or 8th round, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that's worth mentioning about this deck that I also play this deck for the people that don't know, and the one thing I absolutely love about this deck is its position in the meta right now. It's so good. Like every single one of these cards is a problem for so many different decks. Even though it's like a non-blue deck, doesn't have brainstorm, right? But it has ways to interact with every single like popular deck right now. And I feel really good sitting at winning tables, seeing like Miracles, Death and Taxes, Delver decks, and the winning tables. I'm perfectly fine sitting around these kind of guys. Or at least from my play experience.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like, but a lot of the popular tier 1 decks or like tier 1.5, whatever.
Right.
A lot of those decks that people are currently playing a lot of, this deck's great against. I have experienced that this deck can struggle a little bit with certain other like fringe decks.
Yeah.
So anything that plays kind of the non-standard creatures in Legacy can be a problem, as you saw in that match where I got completely destroyed. I'd be interested to see your deck tech with that gentleman. So you should try and rope him into doing one.
We'll probably get one pretty soon. Now, as far as like bad matches, what are you trying to dodge?
I'm trying to dodge that deck that he played against
Eldrazi.
against Kiet. That was a bad matchup. Other things that I found bad is like I found that like the Aluren is not very good.
That sounds miserable.
Because
they're combos creatures, so they just look at your Thali and go, oh yeah, that's cute.
So
Kill you.
they can combo off and just kill you. Also, just playing a bunch of missed Hollow Griffins can be a problem too. Other than that, you're kind of okay facing pretty much anything. There are like really good matchups, and then there are like matchups that are not as good. But
I think Burn's really bad.
oh, sorry, yeah, Burn is the worst matchup.
Yeah, I think
Burn is almost unwinnable.
Burn is like mulligan to Chalice or Thalia and get there.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you have a lot of Burn in your meta, just run some Zurin Orbs in the sideboard.
Zurin Orb, okay.
So I don't do it because I don't face Burn that often, and I just kind of like decide that, like, you know what, Burn's going to be my like 80-20 or 90-10 matchup where I just lose it all the time if I play it, and then just hope to dodge it. But if you like are playing in a local meta and you have a couple friends that like to bring their Burn deck, just run 2 Zurin Orbs in the sideboard and
solved.
Well, not really. You have to drive, but.
So I think at that point I would just want to accelerate a night out, get Zurin Orb, and then cross your fingers.
Yeah. I mean, the Zurin Orb plus life from the Loam is pretty good. It's hard to beat.
Yeah, that does sound really good.
Cool.
All right, Tom. Well, that's probably as much time as we got.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing your deck with us.
For sure, of course.
You know, could not. I was so ecstatic when you took down me in New Jersey. Well, I was happy that you top aided, and I was crossing my fingers. You would go far, and you did not disappoint me, sir. That was quite a long ride.
I really appreciate you supporting me. And actually, for those people who watch the New Jersey stream or who want to like go back and look at the archive footage, you can actually see Kory standing there in the background for a lot of the top 8 matches, just like holding his belly. I don't think he realized that he was on camera. He was on the shot, but like every time it pans out, you can see him like holding his belly.
Yeah, I'm
just
like gasping,
there.
like ooh.
Cool.
All right, Tom. Well, good luck for this round, man. And I'll see you around, dude. Is this you?
The record's like, oh, an accident on camera.
Oh, that was a great deck tech with Kory and Thomas.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. How you doing, Anwar? Good to see you, brother. Doing all right.
Kory, do you log the chat? I want to see what people.
Hopefully
I can
get the
copy it
master
for you.
shot
I actually
part
don't save it though.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the mood for some blamos right now.
Wait, that was my first loss.
Oh man.
What did you play again?
Fast loss.
Yeah, so we're
come
at.
on.
Jesus, is that
Playmats.
I mean, it
Hey man, I would be doing the exact same thing, so I totally understand.
Yeah, do you have my email?
Playmat.
Like, do you drop me in a message?
I
wanted to
can
show off.
copy it for you.
But it
and
looks
I'll
like
send it to you.
we're covered right around 50 viewers. I just want to thank everybody that's tuning in right now. I would really like to see us maybe get up to 75 or maybe even 100. So if you guys haven't already, please like the Facebook page, Snapcasters on Facebook, and maybe share it with anybody that you think wants to listen to some great Legacy coverage from some of the best in the business, particularly myself.
Yeah, I certainly don't think you could call us best in the business.
If we look at the number of people on Twitch, I'm sure we are perhaps in the top 50%.
I use
Maybe?
OBS, and
I'm not sure.
have a ton of software to manage stuff.
I'm just gonna just
Top 50% of what?
For streaming, I use
I'm not gonna say because
Twitch.
I would like to keep things vague. But it looks like we got Anwar with Bug Delver and Kiet. I'm not even gonna try to say that last name. But we got Kiet with Aluren. This is definitely gonna be an interesting matchup.
Why did I do that? No!
I don't know if we are in round
I believe
2.
Aluren is probably going to be heavily favored in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. With the Bug Delver deck having things.
Not only do the cards line up pretty well for the Aluren player, the from the bug delver side, it's really hard to tell what their game plan is during the game even.
So, Anwar,
Like,
is it okay
the Aluren
to
deck
have
a
you
lot
on
of times will
screen
play out
and
like a
save
Shardless
the
bug deck
recording with
and
you
they'll
and your name on it
misevaluate
and all that good
and
stuff? Okay.
like
I
just die
need
to the
confirmation.
combo sometimes.
Yeah.
And even then, there's just so many interactions in their deck that most people aren't familiar with that can get you killed.
Especially not with the Bug Delver deck not having a solid answer to the actual call to learn, with it being 4 CMC and dodging Abrupt Decay. That's going to make things pretty hard on the Bug Delver side. It really comes down to the Bug Delver deck having a strong start with either Delver Secrets or Deathrite Shaman, followed up with Wasteland or Hymn to Torok.
Oh, not even a little bit.
Shout out
Holy
to
shit.
Justin P. McGraw. I hope we're not in the top 50% of douchey Magic players, but I would not be surprised
This is outstanding.
if we were.
Some spice, right? Alright. Good luck.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard for the Bug Delver deck when your best threat against them is Delver, and they have
Thanks, Nick.
2 to 4 Baleful Sticks in their main deck.
Kiet?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I got that right.
Thanks, Dak.
I feel like a lot of this matchup comes down to the draw that the Aluren deck has. If it just gets a super clunky draw with not a lot of the pieces that it needs, like with not finding an Aluren or not seeing any Imperial Recruiters or any of the combo pieces, it's going to make it pretty hard. But it looks like both players are starting off with a mulligan, and I believe I saw a Phyrexian Obliterator of Anwar's deck. That is definitely some tech.
Are you sure it was a Phyrexian Obliterator?
I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. I know Anwar is a big fan of the black-green strategy. I remember playing against him a few times with just the straight black-green deck, where he was doing some of the old school plays of Dark Ritual into Hypnotic Spectre.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if I was correct in seeing a Phyrexian Obliterator. That's definitely a fun card to see on stream.
Looks like both players are on a mulligan.
Yep.
The old
Ooh, double
Wasteland
Wasteland.
Phyrexian Obliterator deck.
Well, I do see a Dark Ritual, so it looks like Anwar has old habits die hard. He's still a big fan of trying to start off early and get some more powerful plays in the first couple turns of the game.
Oh man, Keat has a Thoughtseize and a Cabal Therapy, so I think Anwar's hand is just going to be shredded this game.
Yeah, that's definitely a powerful combination.
Yeah, it's really going to suck for him because he has a Dark Ritual in his hand, which when you're playing a much more fair deck than the usual Storm decks that play Dark Ritual, it's just actively card disadvantage, and when you're getting your hand ripped apart, that's really going to hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like Kiet is going to be taking that Dark Ritual, knowing that just with looks like he's going with the Deathrite Shaman.
The age-old Deathrite's the best thing you can do on turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's making these 2 Wastelands look a lot worse. And that's also an Urborg.
Was that a Boomstalker for the draw? Yes, it was.
Oh man, the Boomstalker is in the house.
I definitely appreciate these a lot of these old school cards coming out of Anwar's deck. And it looks like we get to see Ket's hand. He's got a Forest, Island, Cabal Therapy, and Thoughtseize. Now, Harlan, if you were... Thank you, Kory, for updating Anwar's deck. We appreciate it. But
I can't really call it a pox variant because I doubt it actually has smallpox in it.
I have a feeling that this is going to be just maybe one of these black-green rock decks.
I think it might just be mono black midrange. I think it probably has a green splash for Abrupt Decay and Deathrite activation, but I would, if it has a Obliterator, I doubt it has Tarmogoyf, but you can't really be
Absolutely.
too surprised one way or another.
And this is definitely going to be an interesting...
I guarantee this therapy's going to miss. Unless Ket knows what Anwar's playing, but I don't think you can, in the dark, call a Tombstalker.
That definitely would not be my first choice.
That wouldn't be your go-to name here? Off Urborg Deathrite Thoughts Use Dark Ritual?
No, I mean, I have no idea.
Oh, and he just slow rolled him on the flip, too. Yeah, you get bricked, but I'm going to show you one at a time. I do appreciate the foreign black border dark rituals, though.
Absolutely.
Much classier. That way you get the beta art and you still have foreign.
Sorry, Gibusum. We're not going to be correcting Anwar's play with the lands in front. While I appreciate Wizards' new policy of trying to standardize coverage, I hope we let players have the freedom to play how they will.
Yeah, it's better than Ket's play of put my lands next to my creatures. We also saw that turn the Deathrite being sacked to flashback Cabal Therapy on the Tombstalker. I'm not sure I like that play, just because the Tombstalker wasn't actually very close to being cast, and you can make that decision later.
Yeah, absolutely.
And use your Deathrite to keep Anwar's Deathrite in check. But I guess you could just eat the Cabal Therapy. So the clock is like, you're way more pressured to do it sooner now because of that, but...
Yeah, I can agree with that. I feel like Deathrite Shaman has a lot more value, especially when Anwar has his own, being able to fight, being able to have your Deathrite Shaman to respond with any
but if yours,
Deathrite Shaman activation.
Also, the Tombstalker is probably never getting played with two Deathrites in play. Yeah, I just really don't like that play now that I think about it.
Yeah, but it looks like we got a Liliana of the Veil and a Brainstorm in response.
I think Ket's deck's probably really good against Liliana. It's probably full of Baleful Strix and Shardless Agent and cards like that.
Yeah, and it looks like we see a... what is that artifact in his hand? Is that a Hangerback Walker or a Pith Bug? Phyrexian something. Words are so hard for me, guys. I'm sorry for you guys struggling on the stream. What is that card's name?
What card?
The two mana 2/1 that is a Pithy Needle.
Phyrexian Revoker?
Yes, that's the one. Thank you, Harlan.
Yep.
Tight ship here at Snapcasters.
We're a little loosey-goosey, but that's why everyone loves us.
Yep. Lands in front. Creatures next to lands. We're crazy here.
The wrong Brainstorm art.
Testing. Oh, there it is.
Wrong Brainstorm art? I love that Brainstorm art.
Max's Brainstorm is just incorrect.
It's classic.
It is just wrong.
It's classic.
Unless you are foiling your deck, that is the only way it's allowable. Otherwise, it should only be Ice Age.
Let's go to the chat on this. You want to...
Oh, this is how we get it stirred up, man. This is how we get viewers.
Absolutely. We're asking the hard questions here. If you're in the chat and you want to weigh in on your preferred Brainstorm art, feel free.
You can feel free to prove Simba wrong.
I don't know. I'm confident that our players have the refined taste to appreciate the Mask's Brainstorm.
Refined taste?
Yeah, I'm going to go with...
See, even taste. Kory agrees with me. The refined taste is Ice Age. It's the older version.
Let me look up the Ice Age art right now. Let's see. No, I'm sorry. I'm still gonna have to disagree with
So
you on that.
I actually like the Is It First Golgari ones more than the masked ones, but I do prefer Ice Age overall. The like my huge biggest problem with the masks one is it doesn't look like she's brainstorming. Like it's the perfect art for Ponder. But the Is It First Golgari and Ice Age, it's very obviously a brainstorm. You know what I mean?
I can agree with that. I see that now. No,
Yeah. Like
that's actually a
Max
very.
Brainstorm is the perfect art, the best art they've ever made for the card Ponder.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of the mermaids.
I mean, the mermaids are great, and I use them. But if you had Max Brainstorm art on Ponder, I would always use that one.
If the ideal would be the masks art on the player rewards promo, that would be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of this card says Ponder and it's just a guy with like a lantern.
No, he's pointing to some sperm swimming towards a fertilizing an egg.
Oh.
What?
That's
Oh
what
man,
people
we're
tell me
getting
every time I cast
this.
Necron.
This is a great game of Magic, actually. Both players' hands just got ripped apart, and then they immediately went to top deck mode, and it's just a Phyrexian Revoker beating a Liliana to death, and I think Anwar just drew Sinkhole for the forest.
Yep. So Revoker's going to take
Yep,
out
that was
Liliana
a
here.
sequel. Yes, bread and butter gal. We were voting on brainstorms. It looks like I was perhaps wrong. Oh no, bread and butter girl is on my side with the mass brainstorms.
Oh man, another person with poor taste.
All right, we're at 56 viewers. That is great. And it looks like we're still at this draw go phase of the match, and we have another sinkhole. It appears.
Yeah, turn one lackey definitely pointed out a good thing or a good point that killing the underground sea. I think Anwar just wanted to limit the blue sources, and he actually got very rewarded for targeting the underground sea by killing the island after drawing another sinkhole. And Ket also
Absolutely.
drew another forest, so he just looks like a master.
I mean, Anwar is a master.
Yeah. Although he does have to find an answer to this Revoker in a non-zero amount of turns.
Well, he's
I
got
believe.
like
I
6
believe
draws.
I believe that amount
Yeah,
is
he has
7.
6 draw steps, but
Yep. All it takes.
there's a lot of
well,
Dark Ritual air in his deck, so there's a lot of discard spells and Dark Grits and lands. So,
But one
although Obliterator would be
Phyrexian
a great draw
Obliterator
this
would be
turn.
doing a lot on this board
Yeah.
state. Yeah. And it's definitely a heads up play for Anwar to be getting rid of the blue sources because that is going to be Ket's best way to get
Yeah,
out
most
of this
powerful cards
situation.
and yeah.
Having access to things like Brainstorm or potentially
All right, we
Shardless
got brick
Agent.
number 1 here.
Or Jace, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many of the Aluren decks are playing Jace, but it certainly seems like a strong card in this board state. And it seems like a strong card for the Aluren decks in general. Ooh, we have a...
Here we have the question: do you block with the Bob or get greedy?
I would be a fan of maybe taking one turn, one or two
I'd
two
take them all.
attacks.
Just give me all the cards possible.
Absolutely, but
I'll draw
I
something
don't
to kill it or block it. Yeah.
absolutely. But I'm not sure how many of
We're
the
gonna hit a
people in the
Tombstone
stream.
and die. I guarantee it.
And as someone
there's
who's
a
known
good
you
one.
for a while, Harlan, I know you're a big fan of the greed, but just for the people who are watching currently in the stream, the 60 people, 59 people that we have watching, they might not know how big of a madman you are.
Yeah. I've definitely hit Blightsteel off of it.
But it looks like we have 2 Goyfs coming from Anwar's side, or at least 1 Goyf from what I have seen.
It should be a strong turn.
Yep, 2 glyphs.
Yep, 2 Goyfs. Yep, Dark Confidant is very good in top deck mirrors. You just get to top deck twice. And sometimes you hit 2 real heaters.
I don't believe that most of the Aluren decks are going to have a good answer to something like a Tarmogoyf. The lists seem to be very tight when it comes to playing things like removal or just a way to
Well,
interact with a 5/6.
they've got Baleful Strix, so they at least have that.
Yeah, they have Baleful Strix, and then they have Dreamstalker to if the Goyfs are 4/5s, they can just block it indefinitely. But the deck is definitely going to struggle against 2 5/6 Goyfs.
Yeah. But interestingly,
But that's most any deck.
Anwar is now, instead of having to remove the Revoker, now he has to find some way to kill his own Bob before it kills him.
I don't actually think he has to worry about that too much. Like, he's presenting lethal on this next turn. Like, either the Revoker has to block or trade for the Bob. And I think his curve is probably overall pretty low. Like, I think he's probably, on average, going to take, like, 1.5 damage from his Bob.
And I'm sure it seems to be that the only way that currently Anwar can lose this game is if he flips over a Tombstalker, and I'm sure he's not playing more than 2 of those cards.
Stranger things have happened.
Absolutely. I definitely remember hearing stories of the original Team America decks playing 4 Bob, 4 Tombstalker. So they certainly were living on the edge.
Dude, there was a time during
Here's
the
a
Wild
very good
West of
card
Legacy
for Cat.
where there was the 4 Sinkhole, 4 Stifle, 4 Wasteland, 4 Tombstalker deck. That was a great time.
So Ket's going to get a Baleful Strix here. That's a big draw for him.
Absolutely. But where did he get the black mana for that spell? Oh, the
Urborg.
Ouroboros.
Yep.
Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Modern staple these days. Oh man, we might Dark Ritual into a Tombstalker. Nope.
Dark Ritual into Abrupt Decay. That's definitely a good draw, so
Abrupt Decay was a phenomenal draw this turn.
he's not going to have to be trading one of his Tarmogoyfs, and Ket's going to be in Trump block mode, it appears. Oh, now we're up
That
to a 6/7.
actually, that makes it so he can't block the Bob. So he should definitely attack with it. Yeah.
Let's see. It looks like. Oh, yep. Anwar is going to be attacking with.
So Ket has to block a Tarmogoyf and take 8 from the Bob of the other Goyf and go down to 3. Which I think is going to put him on almost no outs.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Considering he knows his top 2 cards. Or top card.
Yeah, I think the only card that could potentially get him out of this situation, and
Anwar
it's not
should
really even
definitely
going to get him
Wasteland
out,
this
is.
turn before passing. There we go.
Yep. I think the only card that
see
can get
what
him
he's
out
got.
of this situation would be a Shardless agent into an Abrupt Decay or something.
Another Baleful Strix.
Yeah, that definitely would be the best one. But it looks like Ket's going to be packing up this game. And there was a Bob on top.
Yep. And Kory with the, did he kill him? Because Ket conceded before the Bob trigger. So Anwar could have just died to the Bob before attacking for lethal. Never concede while your opponent has a Bob in play. You never know what they'll hit.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I can whenever one of my opponents has had a Bob in play for more than 2
Sorry,
turns.
Kory.
Unfortunately, I have been the one losing that game, and not. There's no been.
The Wi-Fi at Curio.
Sure.
Would be my guess.
That's definitely it.
Kory, tell
And we're
Gerhardt to get off of Netflix.
Let's get Gerhardt off of Netflix and in the commentary booth. That would be.
Oh God, no!
That'd be pretty
I don't.
great.
I don't know if the internet is ready for David Gerhardt.
That's how we're gonna break 75 viewers. That's how we're gonna break 100. And we have a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman off a Forest and a Deathrite Shaman off an Urberg. Looks like Ket does not have any sort of fetch land to be able to capitalize off Deathrite Shaman's first ability, being able to exile land to create 1 mana of any color. So we just have a Tropical Island and pass. Ooh, there is a Obliterator in Anwar's hand, so my
Too bad
dreams
nobody has a
might be
fetch land. So these death
It's
rates aren't making any mana.
certainly a shame, but one can
Anwar
hope.
has a wasteland or two, so
Ooh. The Wastelands can make black with the Airboard.
they
That's
can
just good
indeed.
deck building.
Yeah.
And if
I mean-
anybody knows about good deck building, it's going to be Harlan here.
If you say so.
I mean, that's the only way you win tournaments is in deck building.
All right, we drew a heater this turn. We have the old Volrath Stronghold. If you two don't know what this one does, it's 2 mana and tap it, put a creature from your graveyard on top of your library.
That card has certainly given me some headaches playing against
Chris
some
Minor?
of the Nick Fit decks. Absolutely, Chris Minor. Shout out to Chris Minor if he's watching. I definitely miss your Nick Fit brews. And I'm
The last
really
time I was at the Sorcery in Fredericksburg,
shout out
Minor
to the Sorcerer in
cast Siege
Fredericksburg.
Rhino against me while I'm playing
Absolutely.
Rugdelver.
He's been a huge fan of that card, but let's get back to the match. I don't know why there is a Painter Servant in Kiet's
I
deck.
guess Ket is on a transformative sideboard, or at least boarding into a secondary combo of Painter Stone.
Is Grindstone a 1-mana artifact?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay, so perhaps he has. I believe I see a Trinket Mage in his deck, so that could be another alternative win condition.
Yeah, sure, why not? That works.
Yeah, I mean, when you're casting Trinket Mage for free off Aluren, why not?
Yeah, it may be possible that he has Painter Servant Grindstone in his sideboard. I know Dredge decks used to play the 8 combo pieces and 4 Enlightened Tutors in their sideboard.
It looks like we don't have a third land off. Oh, we do have a third land off Anwar's side. I don't. Did he? Oh, did he wasteland this turn? And I missed it.
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully we're gonna
it
have
is only
a
turn 3.
Phyrexian Obliterator next turn.
Oh, sorry.
The dog agrees. Obliterator is sweet.
Yeah. Definitely interesting to see this card seeing some legacy play. I mean, it being 4 mana is quite strong in a world where Abrupt Decay is so powerful.
It's also quite strong where a lot of people play 4 days in their deck.
Absolutely. Is he gonna go with the Bob? No, Anwar. I want to see. Want to see
Don't waste him.
Obliterator.
Just kill all of his lands. You don't play Sinkhole and Wasteland and not use them.
Well, you don't play Phyrexian Obliterator and not use him either.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, clearly,
You don't need
yeah.
it. He's the big follow-up. You want your opponent to have to deal with everything else first.
I just want to see Phyrexian Obliterator cast on stream. Is that too much to ask? Off a Hind to Turok.
So my dog was barking at Billy Button's pizza guy. We've resolved the issue, so we hopefully won't have any more barks.
All right, sounds good. So do we have Billy Buttons in the building? Can we get him stepping in on stream, perhaps?
He is occupied.
That's too bad.
That is certainly one way to put it. I know. So I don't think the internet is ready for David Gearhart. I know the internet isn't ready for Billy Buttons.
Absolutely. And so looking at the chat, I believe Ket has drawn his deck's name, Saint Card Aluren, but it looks like it is going to be facing the Hind to Turok. And it looks like it hit a Imperial Recruiter as well.
Oh my god.
Oh, for the love of God, next turn, can we please get a Phyrexian Obliterator on the battlefield?
So this is actually not at all how I would predict this match to go. I would have had Aluren heavily favored, actually, just
Yeah, I
because
think
it grinds almost as well as the Pox deck does in general. But then it also just can like backdoor win, where the Pox deck just has to like slowly like
it's an
over
attrition
advantage
deck.
its opponent and attack them each turn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like this is just a problem with the Aluren deck not being able to implement its game plan and really get ahead.
Yeah,
Anwar has had answers to a lot of what Ket is trying to do.
I think Anwar's also just drawn better than Ket. Like he's
Yeah.
just drawn what he's needed and right when he needed it. Oh no!
Oh no! What's oh no?
All sees is gonna get the obliterator.
No!
No!
What's the point? No!
Obliterator now.
Oh
Just
no! This is
concede.
Dark
Anwar,
Ritual.
concede in response. What are you doing?
Dark Ritual and the fourth land just for the extra rubbins. So
Right. I'm sure there's 3 other obliterators in the deck.
Mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made, Harlan, but it still looks like Anwar is quite ahead in this board
Yeah.
state. Perhaps
quite comfortably in the driver's seat.
let's see. I'm trying to think of what the best draw for Kit would be a Shardless agent into Abrupt Decay. That would definitely tie up this state, or at least catch Kit up a lot. But it looks like it's just going to be a grindstone.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised not only that Ket has this plan in his sideboard, but also that he brought it in against the Abrupt Decay deck. Like, I don't think you can cut Aluren against the Abrupt Decay deck because they just can't interact with Aluren, but you would have to board in another 8-card combo.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
but I'm not entirely sure, but I believe Ket does have the Painter's Stone package in the main deck. I
Oh, yeah?
recall seeing him when he was shuffling an artifact that looked like Painter's Servant, and I wasn't sure if it actually was, but it looks
Oh,
like
that's the thing you thought was Dark Depths?
Yeah, I believe so. But it looks like Anwar is going to win this match 2-0. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Aluren fire on all cylinders. But sorry, Regal. I don't think Anwar was going to be too worried about the top deck Painter Servant because with Painter Servant being 2 mana and Grindstone's activated ability also being 2 mana, I believe, he wouldn't
It's
have
3
enough.
mana.
Oh, it's 3 mana. Yeah, he wouldn't have enough time to activate it, and with Anwar sitting comfortably with Liliana the Veil on 4, it wasn't going to be a problem for him. Yeah, with Volrath's Stronghold being able to put it back on top, he eventually would be able to attrition his way out, but unfortunately, Ket was too low on life for that to matter, especially with the Tarmogoyf being able to sure things up quickly. For not having any activated abilities or come into play abilities, Tarmogoyf certainly is quite a strong card. It's just a really heavy beater that a lot of decks have a hard time beating. 2 mana, 5/6s are quite strong. Chalice of the Void. This current tournament is being broadcast from Springfield, Virginia at Curio Cavern. And this is my local shop when I am home if I'm not in Fredericksburg playing at the Sorcery.
Yeah,
Springfield
Curio is probably my favorite store. I'm always very happy to travel there. Back when I was on the
Absolutely.
IQ grind.
Yeah, Kira Cavern is definitely up there in the stores that I've been to. The owner Tom is such a great guy. He's definitely one of the nicest store owners that I've met, and it's just such a friendly place. There's always people there ready to game, and its legacy players are top notch. There's actually a lot of really strong legacy players from back in the day. You've got uh, Dan the Man, David Gearhart, the Hatfield brothers. Just some really strong legacy players coming out of there.
My actual favorite thing about Curio is that there's just no EDH players. There's just
Really?
no room for them to actually set up. So they just aren't ever there.
I definitely don't believe that.
Never
maybe
once
on
have I
IQ
seen
weekend?
a game of EDH played at Curio.
I mean, I think that's just because you're not going there on the weekdays enough. I certainly remember some. There's always a few people ready to play EDH. Yeah, Slabby, 734. It's definitely a fun meta. A lot of people are always ready to brew. It's definitely not going to be the metagame that you would expect at a GP or SCG Open.
That's the funny thing about Curio is all the legacy players play pretty much their own whatever they want, and they kind of brew. But then when it comes to an Open or a GP, they always put up good results. Like, they aren't always top 8 or winning like Thomas, but they are almost always cashing the
Absolutely.
events with their brews, which is really
Absolutely.
impressive, especially in a
Definitely
format
really,
like Legacy.
yeah. And I think that just really speaks to how much Legacy uh, benefits people who have been playing it for a while and people who really know the format. So you can like, even though Legacy rewards playing the same deck over and over again, the more just having a lot of experience in the format will allow you to know how other decks operate, and so the more experience you have, it's easier for you to pick up a new deck and not have to get the.
And it's certainly nice that Tezzeret goes up to 4, so Bloodbraid can't kill it in one attack.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take another card out of Chris's deck to be able to deal with the Tezzeret fully on this turn. And it looks like Tezzeret will Mark will be able to untap with Tezzeret. Unless Chris is going to draw something like another Bloodbraid Elf, a Culligan's Command, or a Lightning Bolt. Doug's on Twitch. Curio Cavern is actually in my opinion, one of the best stores in the Mid-Atlantic area for Legacy if you want to come and battle. We normally get anywhere between like 15 to 30 people for Legacy. I would definitely say we're a very strong Legacy store.
Yeah, I know every time I've gone to Curio for like an IQ, like every time it's been a modern IQ, it's been like 40 people for a normal IQ. It's just insane how many people show up to the store.
Thank you, Craig RTG, for following us on Twitch. We really appreciate it. Oh, looks like we're at 80 viewers. Thank
Simba
you,
hype.
everybody. All right, we just need 20 more. Let's break 100 tonight. We can do it. The Syrupy Pancake, I believe, Modern is. I would say Curio Cavern is more of a Eternal format store than Standard or Limited. So
Yeah, they've gotten pretty good at Modern too lately.
You get a good amount of people coming out for Modern. 84. That's what I see 81 right now, Bedlam. But let's get back to the game for a second. It looks like we got a Dark Confident, a Tarmogoyf, and a Bloodbraid Elf all facing down Mark with only a Tezzeret Agent of Bolas in play. This is not a good position for Mark. I don't really know what he's going to be able to do to get out of this situation right now.
Simba, my friend Craig, who followed us, appreciates the name shout out.
Absolutely. I'm going to do my best to. Let's see. Doug's on Twitch also following us. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Yeah, Lord of Wolves. Post Instagram, Twitter, Imgur, 9yag, Reddit, Grinder,
4chan.
Tinder, 4chan, Yelp,
Why
whatever
did
you
you
want to
say
do.
Grinder before Tinder?
I don't judge here. Whatever they want to do. Oh, looks like I misspoke.
There's an ensnaring
Ensnaring
bridge.
Bridge is
We need to
quite a
find
good
an abrupt
draw.
decay
To
pretty.
Thank you, Gearhart, for the cat facts. And Symposium 1998. I don't believe. Oh, it looks like we did lose the stream. Hopefully, we're going to be back up shortly. And it looks like we are back up online.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And so, what do you think these guys are bringing in post board for this next game?
I see Chris Barrett definitely boarding in either Red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast, whichever one he has in his sideboard. I would assume he has at least 2 copies of that effect.
Yeah. Demetrius 01, Chris Barrett did find the Abrupt Decay. But yeah, Red Elemental Blast is definitely a strong card in this
Yep.
matchup. Being able to counter any blue spell or destroy any blue permanent like Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus, or Jace the Mind Sculptor is very important for these Jund decks, because if the Jund deck allows Tezzeret to untap with a Tezzeret, it's quite poor for the Jund side. Being able to find his Silver Bullet artifacts, or being able to turn artifacts into 5/5s, is quite poor.
Yep. I would definitely want to take out my Thoughtseizes. For the reason being that Chalice on 1 just makes them, it just counters them.
Absolutely.
There's an argument for if you're on the play, you want them to take the Chalice, but I don't think your deck has enough ones that's really that necessary. And you really don't want them in the later game, because both decks are just going to trade a lot of resources, and you just don't want to draw them late game.
And
Hymn to
something
Trock's still a very powerful card, though.
Yeah, being able to just 2-for-1 your opponent is really important in these matchups. I feel like that's just about what it comes down to from the Jund side, and I mean that's what Jund is built to do. Is it's just filled with all these great 2-for-1s. And something like Lightning Bolt from the Jund side, I feel like is quite poor in this matchup. I feel like most of the time it's just going to be pointed at a Tezzeret or Jace the Mind Sculptor, and I feel like you have more
Yeah, and
powerful
the Jace
cards
is very
to bring in.
rarely just brainstorming when it comes into play.
Yeah. And Symposium 1998. Reanimator is pretty rare to see, but I believe it is still a strong strategy. A lot of times people are going to not really be packing the graveyard hate that they should be for something like Reanimator. Unfortunately, though, Deathrite Shaman is still a huge part of the metagame, and that gives a lot of these decks built-in protection against something like Reanimator.
Yeah, Deathrite Days is usually good enough to win you a game 1 against Reanimator. Maybe a Force of Will. But
yeah, it looks
Reanimator
like
is definitely one of the better decks in the format, I would say.
Yeah. Just this, it seems to be that it's a common theme throughout multiple formats, being a combo deck that has counter magic and just being able to interact really well with your opponent is a really strong strategy. You see that in Modern Infect as well as something like Sneak Attack or Reanimator.
Yeah, the really cool thing about Reanimator is it does get hit by more, like Graveyard Hate is more interaction with the deck, but it has the speed of a deck like Storm and the power of a deck like Sneak and Show.
Yeah.
So it's just like a full chart topper, but you do have this added hate of all the graveyard interaction being good against you, but there just isn't nearly as much. So I think it's just like better than Sneak and Show right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see a turn 1 City of Traders followed up by a Dimir Signet. I feel like
We'll likely
this
see
is
a
just
Deathrite Shaman this turn.
Yep, it seems like it's definitely one of the most powerful draws from the Tezzerator deck. I think the only thing more you could ask for is a turn 1 Ancient Tomb, just because that's not gonna lose itself from. It's not gonna have to sacrifice itself like City of Traders is gonna have to.
And we do see a sideboarded Red Elemental Blast here. We also have a Sylvan Library, a Tarmogoyf, I believe a Hymn to Turok, and a Dark Confidant in Chris's hand.
This is definitely a good hand from Chris Barrett, but a turn 2 Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus is quite.
I'm sorry, the
strong
card I
on
thought
my
was
side.
Hymn to Turok is Wooded Foothills.
Oh, okay. Demetrius01, nobody has really seen Tin Fins. It seems to be a very niche deck, and I personally don't really like it as a choice for a tournament just because I feel like you find yourself losing just to your draws a lot of the times. I feel like you're being half Storm deck, half Reanimator deck is not as good as just fully committing to one.
Right. Tin Fins was very good when it first came out because nobody really knew what you were doing.
Absolutely.
So they weren't boarding properly or playing properly. But now that they know, it really just has the weaknesses of both decks, Storm and Reanimator, and the strengths of neither deck. Like, you're just worse at being either deck, and all the interaction that's good against either deck is good against you. So
Absolutely, and it looks like we have a Dark Confidant potentially followed up with a Red Elemental Blast. I don't.
yeah,
I can't really see a
I don't
reason
see him
for
passing
Chris
and letting him
untap
untap.
with a Tezzeret.
Yeah.
Lord of Wolves, I don't know if we have a set streaming schedule, but I believe Kory does try to stream as much as he can here at Curio every Wednesday, and I believe at Games and Stuff every Tuesday. But
Kory does have a schedule, and it is posted below the stream.
like most things in my life, I am wrong. So sorry about that, Lord of Wolves.
So the schedule is Tuesdays, Legacy events at Games and Stuff in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Wednesdays, obviously, Curio Cavern. And then Fridays, Legacy at HQ Games starting at 9 p.m. Haven't been out there the last couple of weeks, but if he continues to, if Kory's schedule continues to get in the way of casting from that particular tournament, I actually may start streaming it anyway. So we'll
All right,
see.
thank you so much for that. All right, Lord of Wolves, we really appreciate you watching whenever you can, and we hope to give you top-notch Legacy coverage like we have today. And it looks like
Once again, I don't think we can go to top notch.
I'm gonna go with top-notch. I have a high standard.
I think we're doing a very reasonable job, but
I'm gonna go with top-notch, and it looks like
I try
Mark
and keep them in check, ladies and gentlemen. I try.
He tries and fails. Hello, Mr. Lancy Pants. What's up?
Oh man, Lancy
Hardbarger.
Pants in the house.
And the stream went from good to great. All right, now back to the match. Mark has a Thopter Foundry, and I believe from his first Tezzeret activation, he found the other part of the combo, Sword of the Meek. And for those of you who don't know, the combo is when you have both in play, Thopter Foundry allows you to sacrifice an artifact to put a 1/1 blue-black Thopter into play with flying,
It's
and
just
then
blue.
Sword of the Meek works in tandem with that. So whenever a 1/1 creature comes into play, if Sword of the Meek is in the graveyard, it allows it to come back into play and attach to that 1/1 creature. So that basically allows you to turn every one of your mana into 1 life and a 1/1 Thopter. And I'm sorry, Thopter Foundry also lets you gain 1 life when you sacrifice an artifact.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I certainly would have attacked with the Dark Confidant before casting the Hymn to Turok to coax my opponent into sacrificing their Dimir Signet to make a Thopter and trade for the Bob, and then try and hit the sword afterwards. Because if you hit the sword with the Hymn, he can just make the Thopter anyway, and then the sword comes back into play, and it's like a rampant growth for your opponent.
Absolutely, that's top-notch play from Harlan Fear, top 8 competitor 2 times, SCG top 8 competitor twice, and he only has 1 win. He no longer has the 100% top 8 conversion rate that he was so proud of previously. But he still has 2 more top 8s than me, which is something you guys should keep in mind when you are listening to me. I may be wrong from time to time. It has been known to happen. Time to time is also a generous use of the word. And it looks like we have a Sylvan Library from Chris Barrett's side, and it does look like he has a quite strong board right now with a Sylvan Library, Dark Confidant, and Deathrite Shaman. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with Legacy, the power of Sylvan Library is that at each of your upkeep, it basically allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your library, and then you can choose to put 2 back or pay 4 life per card if you want to draw all 3, or if you want to draw 1, you pay 4 life and you draw 2 cards for that turn. So it definitely gives you a lot more card selection, which is really powerful from this deck that does not have access to things like Brainstorm or Ponder.
And Chris Barrett found Crozen Grip, so he is firmly in the driver's seat of this game now.
Absolutely. Frozen Grip, a very powerful card with its split second ability, not allowing its opponent to react in response.
Right, so Chris can target the Thopter Foundry, and Mark won't be able to respond by making Thopters, which is huge.
Unfortunately, Frozen Grip has given me a lot of problems in the past. When I play Miracles, not being able to get rid of my Sensei's Divining Top and me not being able to look at the top 3 or spin in response. It's definitely an annoying card, and I hate it with a passion, but they printed it, so people are going to play it as much as I don't want them to. And it looks like he did take that Frozen Grip. And I guess this is really just a matter of when Chris wants to
now
deploy this threat.
Comes the game of chicken to see how long you can just slow roll it. But Chris isn't going to play that game. He's just going to kill it right away and move along.
Symposium 1998, I'm not exactly sure how much of a role Chalice on Zero plays.
Yeah, so he actually played it just so he could sacrifice it to the Thopter Foundry as an additional artifact to start the chain, so he doesn't have to sacrifice the Dimir Signet. He just did it so it didn't cost any mana.
Yeah, absolutely. But unfortunately, with the split second, he's not able to respond. And thank you, Mr. Lancy Pants. For those of you who don't know, split second does not stop triggered abilities from happening. So when you do have something like Counterbalance, you still have the chance to respond. Unfortunately, I have never been lucky enough to just reveal a Vendilion Clicker Monastery Mentor off the top. So when I have had Counterbalance top in play, and my opponent has Frozen Grip, I have been quite a sad panda, and I have lost one of them.
So your counterbalance conversion rate on Frozen Grip is 0?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just like my conversion rate against Merfolk in Modern. For those of you who don't know, I have a 0-5 record against Merfolk with my Jeskai control deck that I'm normally so fond of, which is quite frustrating for me because that has stopped me from top-8ing a couple PTQs and just been a real thorn in my side. Yes, Mr. Lancy Pants, you are quite smart. And thank you, McMav09.
And very handsome.
Absolutely. And he does throw one hell of a party. For those of
He
you
certainly
who know,
does.
For those of you who know Lance and have not yet gone to his famous lake party, I definitely would recommend it. It's one of the best times that I've had. Sorry, Lance, if I'm putting your lake party on blast. This people is 2-0.
We should stream the lake party.
Absolutely. Kory and Lance, I'm going to have you guys get in touch.
I don't trust anyone at the party to handle video equipment, though.
Are there not any sober people at Curio?
There are no sober sisters at the lake.
It is definitely a game changer. So, sorry guys if we have been ignoring the game. So we definitely have.
Oh man, and we drew an Ancient Grudge.
Oh, This is not good for Mark's
Yeah,
side. So
this game
it
is
looked
not
like
looking good for Mark.
it looked like Mark was getting close to stabilizing the board with this ensnaring bridge.
Yeah, if the Thopter Foundry had lived, Mark would be firmly in the driver's seat this game. But it being Frozen Gripped was the worst possible thing that could have happened to him.
And drawing the Ancient Grudge against the Tezzeret deck is quite poor. For those of you who don't know, Tezzeret, in Magic lore, Tezzeret he's like a big artifact guy. So, yeah.
A big artifact guy.
Yeah. Me also with the great Magic lore. But Blue-Black is tradition. Tezzeret is a big artifact guy. He likes the artifacts. He likes.
Is he big on artifacts, or is he just physically large?
He is big on artifacts. Thank you for the questions, Harlan. But yeah, back to the game. This Ancient Grudge is definitely going to be a big problem for Mark to deal with. Just Flashback is quite a strong ability, and with Chris already having a strong board presence, it's really going to be hard for Mark to catch up. It's really going to take something like a Toxic Deluge to clear the board. Did I miss a following, Kory? Let me give him a shout out. If you want to get on the chat or something, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Lancy Pants. And thank you, Just Bring It 9282 for following. We really appreciate it. Oh,
Also
we're
known
at
as Josh
78
Doran.
people already. What's up?
Also known as Josh Doran.
Thank you, Josh Doran. Are you a big guy on Doran the Siege Tower? That is a card that I wish saw more play. It's such an
Doran the Explorer.
Mark's going to cast Transmute Artifact here. This allows him to sacrifice an artifact and search his library for another one. And I believe pay the difference in mana cost?
Yeah. Ooh, but this is going to be a sick play by Chris, being able to
Blow up both
use that
artifacts.
Ancient Grudge to blow up the Dimir Signet, and then it looks like he's going to be sacrificing the Chalice of Void, so he's going to basically just have to find a 2-mana artifact.
If he's got a Strix,
Yeah,
that
he
does
can
a little
only
bit of
find
work,
a 2-mana artifact now. I would have actually just let my opponent search, and then Ancient Grudge whatever they search for.
Yeah.
That's
Because there's not actually... The only artifact sweepers he can get are, like, Oblivion Stone, which would cost 5 mana to activate, and then Nevinrel's Disc comes into play tapped.
yeah.
So
But
you can
he
just
could-
Ancient Grudge it before his next turn.
If he has another Foundry, that's probably the worst case scenario there.
Yeah. And
Right,
being
but
able
then
to
the
find
Foundry would be his
another-
only artifact in play anyway.
Well, he would
Right.
have the Chalice.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep. So Chris with the heads-up play.
Unfortunately, I'm sure Mark was trying to find something like a another ensnaring bridge. And yes, McMav09, I am still in here in Des Moines, Iowa, but I will be heading back home early tomorrow morning to make the probably 18-hour drive. I'm gonna see if I can do it in one day. I'm definitely gonna be leaning on my friends Monster and Red Bull for that. And if you guys have any recommendations for places to eat in Pittsburgh, Chicago, or where else am I going through?
What is happening
you
with the
missed a
viewer
follow.
count?
What?
You missed another follow.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Who was it? Harlan, you can also give shout outs to the followers, Harlan, so
Yeah, but
you're the one dropping the
you
ball.
you want to do it. You love doing it so much. I don't want to take that from you.
Ooh, Who is McMav09? I am always
I think
down
it's Charles
for some,
League.
I'm
but I'm
always
not
down
positive.
for some Kogio on Sunday. But-
Oh, it's Marcus for sure.
All right, there we go. And let's get back to the game. So we have a Thopter in play, so it looks like he did sacrifice. Oh, that's a lot of Abrupt Decays. And
That
it
is
looks
quite a
like
few Abrupt
that is going to
Decays.
be game.
Still had
Because
all
Mark
these.
is just looking through his entire deck. So yeah, it looks like Chris Barrett's Tarmogoyf and Dark Confidant is going to be winning him this match 2-0. hopefully we can get another match going. So Kory, do you want to give me the name of the last person to start following? And I'll give him a shout out.
Alan. It's like
Alan. Thank you so much, Alan.
Yeah, it says where Kory had given him a shout out in the chat.
All right, great. We're at 89 viewers. Come on, we just need to find one more. So if you guys are just joining us, please head over to Facebook and like the Snapcasters page, or if you want to tweet, Instagram, Tinder, Grinder, Reddit,
Hey, you got it right this time.
Imgur, whatever social media account you want to use, just put us. If you make a post, we'd really appreciate it. We're at 97 already. Come on, we need 3 more. Let's break 100 tonight. Thank you, Oliver Killer. We really appreciate you guys following us. We're gonna be giving you top-notch legacy coverage as much as we can.
To the best of our abilities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lord of Wolves. The Instagram, I believe, is a first, and the Instagram post, I believe, is probably the first Instagram post we've gotten, but we really appreciate it. All right, Oliver Killer. And it looks like they're packing up. Oh, where was I? Yeah, I'm in Des Moines, Iowa right now. I just got finished working the caucuses, but I'm going to be making the road trip back tomorrow.
Yeah, you were
So
working
guys,
the caucuses.
I was winning the caucuses. Excuse you, but let's not get into politics. That seems like a bad road for us to start down on.
I wasn't talking about politics.
Oh, okay, good. But if you guys want to send me some good spots to eat in Chicago, Columbus, or Pittsburgh, feel free. If you want to add me on Facebook or follow me on Twitter at Patrick Simba on Facebook and at the _Simba on Twitter. I'd love to hear your recommendations for where I should be eating on my road trip back.
Wait, if you're the real Simba, why do you have to have the bullshit underscore?
Because there are other Simbas, Harlan. I'm sorry, I am.
But you're the
late
real
to
one. Why do you have to have the bullshit underscore?
I know I am the real one, but
I don't
that
think.
doesn't
I
stop
think that makes you not the
pretenders.
real one.
That doesn't
means
stop
somebody else already
pretenders.
has the real Simba, and
That
they're the
doesn't
real
stop-
Simba.
They're just a pretender to the throne. I just can't wait to be king. So before I could throw the other real Simbas off a cliff that's on fire with hyenas around, I had to take the other one just because I can't wait to be king. That's going to be our first pun tonight on the Snapcaster stream. You guys are welcome.
I already made a pun, though.
This is going to be the second pun on the Snapcaster stream. You guys are welcome.
And for not the first time tonight, Simba is wrong.
Also, Simba, congrats to Simba and the rest of the Ted Cruz team.
Absolutely not. But if you guys like Ted Cruz, that's fine. I'm not going to take it personally. That's the great thing about America. You're allowed to have whatever political
Simba's a
opinion.
much bigger fan of coin flips.
All right, let's not get too much into politics. It seems like a bad idea for a Twitch stream. We don't want to pull a Travis Wu.
That was too soon, man. That's just fucked up.
Was it? Whatever.
Dude, please tell me Sean Park's 3-0 so we can have him on stream.
I don't care if Sean Park is
Actually,
not
Kory
even
should
here.
put him on at 03. That'd be even better.
That would be the best.
It would complement our round 1 loss deck tech quite well.
Even if we don't have a match to go on, can we just please get a Sean Park Kemper Pogue matchup? And yes, McMav, we did go there. That's what we do here at Snapcasters. We go there. IPAs are great. Sean Park's not there. Can we call him up?
On camera. Have you guys seen the new Blue-Red Prowess Delver lists coming out after Oath released?
Is this on Modern or Legacy? I'm assuming Legacy.
Oh, Legacy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Ely was talking about the deck on Facebook this week.
Yeah, Ely top-aided, Ely Cassis top-aided Eternal Extravaganza Satellite in Baltimore with a Storm Chaser Mage prowess deck.
That's
To be
really
fair,
interesting.
Ely is just so good at this game. He's like a Bond villain, man. He just is a Bond villain of every tournament.
I can definitely believe that.
He
And
like
I'm really surprised to see Storm's Chaser Mage breaking in on Legacy. I feel like it just doesn't really pack enough punch as a lot of the premier 2-drops in Legacy, like Dark Confidant, Young Pyromancer, Tarmogoyf, or Stoneforge Mystic.
it
And I mean, even Stoneforge Mystic is kind of not great right now.
it packs
Yeah,
a harder
so
punch than Pyromancer though.
it's much faster, but it's not. It doesn't go as wide, so it's a little less resilient.
Yeah, but it definitely
Absolutely.
hits harder than Pyromancer does.
Yeah, so I tested this deck took it to a couple tournaments. Didn't like it, but I was playing a list with 0 Days and 4 Chain Lightning, playing Price of Progress, and so it's very different from Ely's build. He was playing Wasteland Package and Compulsive Research, and he was playing Days. So my conclusion after playing that deck in a couple tournaments was just there wasn't enough there. Just you didn't have the card draw that you needed to really close games out. But I think Compulsive Research is actually definitely overperformed for him. Just that extra card draw is really what the deck needed.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple people about the deck this past weekend, and we were thinking that compulsive research might just be better as painful truths, and you just play like an underground sea or two, and then you get to play cabal therapy in your sideboard.
It's definitely
So,
possible, but it opens you up to wastelands, and it turns off your ability to play Blood Moon out of the sideboard.
Yeah,
so for those
Blood
of
Moon's definitely great.
Yeah, there's definitely a trade-off there.
I think if you like cut Blood Moon though, you could definitely just play Price of Progress and be pretty fine.
Yeah, but it's just doesn't synergize well with the wastelands that you're playing in the main deck.
Yeah.
Interesting. And for myself and those of you who don't know, compulsive research is the 3-mana instant, draw 3, discard 2 unless you discard an artifact.
No, that's Thirst for Knowledge. Compulsive
Nope.
Research is the sorcery, and you discard 2 unless you discard a land.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once again, for those of you on the stream, I am wrong again. Oh, so it looks like we
Status
got a
update.
donator.
Simba is still wrong.
Looks like we got a game here, so it looks like Ket,
Research
who
is-
was playing Aluren earlier, is back on the stream on the left, and Dan Somavilla, who was playing 4-color Delver last week, is back on the stream playing it again.
Dan
the
is Mr.
man-
Grixis, right?
Yes, that
I'm
is
right about
Mr. Grixis. It's interesting though. I believe when he was definitely Mr. Grixis, he was Mr.
I mean, his license plate
Cruel
is
Ultimatum.
Cruel Ultimatum, so
Unfortunately, though, he was not taking advantage of when Grixis control was good in Modern.
yeah, he was
He
just
he was
playing
not
bad
on
Grixis control.
He wasn't even
Yeah.
on Grixis control at all, I believe.
No, he
And,
definitely Cruel Ultimatum me
Okay,
during
well,
that time.
I'm completely wrong then. Again.
Yeah,
wrong
as
count.
per the usual. Hey, we have a
Thank you.
follower.
Phlogiston. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you for following us. If you haven't already, check us out on Facebook for all the latest updates from us here at Snapcasters. And my girlfriend Chloe totally wants a shout out. Thank you, Chloe, for listening. I really appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again.
Chloe, I miss you.
Harlan misses you too. We need to go out and get some Kogia.
Yeah, Marcus was already trying to do that this weekend.
Let's do it.
Come to regionals and then we can do it.
If you wanna, I would love to go to regionals, but I think I'm just gonna spend the weekend.
What? Just spend Sunday with Chloe and Saturday with me. I don't understand what the problem is.
All right.
So, what do you guys think about this matchup here with Dan playing some Abrupt Decay's main deck and Ket on Aluren?
I think that Dan is a filthy hypocrite and has green in his deck. But his license plate is Cruel Ultimatum's mana cost.
Thank you, James, for bringing us back to the reason why we're here is some great legacy coverage. And to your question,
But that's why we're here, but that's not why all these people in the chat are here.
Alright, so to your question, I think the 4-color Delver deck is actually going to have a decent matchup. Being able to have things like Lightning Bolt as well as Abrupt Decay to just kind of take care of all of its creatures I feel like are going to be very important. And having things like Force of Will and Daze are also going to be pretty important in this matchup.
I agree. So I think you've got those counter spells early. You've got a pretty high floor for what you can do, and you've got you're just loaded with removal for Aluren, which is a permanent based combo. So
Dan's actually on a draw here that I think is pretty easy for the Aluren deck to pick apart, where he has 2 death rates that are already going to be stressed on things to do, as there aren't all that many fetch lands, and Dan doesn't have any cantrips. And his hand has a Force of Will, it looked like another counterspell, and maybe a Bolt. So it doesn't look like he's actually going to be able to put very much pressure on Ket, which is not going to bode well for him.
the bright side is he does
Absolutely.
have 2 black sources though. So he's opened with C into Badlands. So if there's enough spells in the grave, he can put a quick clock on Ket.
Yeah. Deathrite Shaman is definitely not going to be putting fast enough clock as something like Tarmogoyf will, but I feel like it's definitely going to be very important in this matchup because since Dan has active death rates already, it's going to basically turn off any future death rates that Ket's going to have. And I feel like this is definitely going to be a match for the Delver deck to lose so I feel like it's just going to things are going to have to go really wrong for the Delver deck not to be able to win this last match, unless Ket just has a super powerful draw with like an early Aluren or something like that. And
So does Dan have a Dark Blast in his hand? It's what it looks like on top of his
I believe that is a Dark Blast. From what I can tell, he has a Force of Will, a Wasteland, and a Dark Blast. I don't know what that 4th card is.
Oh, okay. So this is game 3 of their match. So that's why he's got a Dark Blast, and I was very surprised by that for a second.
Yeah, they got moved over. This is still round 3.
Absolutely, we're gonna.
The Dark Blast is actually going to do a lot of work here. It's going to kill a lot of the smaller creatures that Ket plays, but it's also just going to fuel these death rates, so they never actually run out of fuel.
So Lancey Pants, are you saying that his name is actually pronounced Kiet? Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Lancey Pants.
For once, Simba was right.
I was right? What? Is this a Snapcaster stream first?
I think it is.
Fantastic.
Oh my god, it is.
And turn 1 lackey. Dan is not a ninja. He is a wrestler. I believe he works some sort of wrestling job in addition to his other job. But he is definitely big into the wrestling life. So, yeah. Kind of went off there. But, so we got an intuition from...
enjoys his fingerless gloves, man.
I believe those are like...
Is this an intuition for triple Verdant Catacombs?
Yes, it is.
That is...
That's certainly a Snapcaster's first. Hopefully it's a Snapcaster's last, too.
So Dan is going to pick a Verdant Catacombs to give Kiet.
I cannot see Dan winning this game if that happened.
That is definitely not the most powerful use of intuition that I have seen, and I believe that
definitely is if he's got Aluren in hand, though. So if he just like untaps and drops an Aluren,
Yeah, there's like no... I cannot foresee Dan winning this game if that happened.
I believe there is an Aluren on his side, but I don't know if he actually has the combo. I believe I saw a Brainstorm in a couple of lands, so it looks like we will be able to see a Aluren on his side, but...
I don't think he has enough protection now that Dan drew a Daze this turn.
Yeah, I believe he also has the Daze and a Force of Will.
Yeah, you can pay the ultimate casting cost of 5 mana on Force of Will.
Ooh.
Oh, he only has 3 cards.
One of my favorite uses of Force of Will is the hard cast. And this is one of the problems with decks like Aluren, or just other decks in general that are paying full retail for these like 4 and 5 drops. is just being able to get hosed by cards like Daze is a real liability in Legacy where you're really stretched to use more mana efficient spells.
How your opinion has changed since Obliterator was on camera.
Well, Obliterator is definitely definitely a different case.
You're just signing
Aluren-
up to do something different with Obliterator.
Yeah. With Obliterator, you're doing things like Deathrite Shaman and Dark Ritual to kind of like cheat it into play. Aluren, in this Aluren deck, you're just kind of paying full retail. And I mean, sure, you get to cast all your 3 converted mana cost or less spells for free, but Phyrexian Obliterator is a 5/5 for 4. It's a 5/5 for 4.
Yeah, that one wins you the game in like 4 turns if they don't block, and Aluren wins you the game on the spot.
But you gotta, Harlan, one of the things that you're forgetting is the style points.
I think you still get more style points for winning with Aluren.
All right, let's take that
because
to
it's so
the
hard to
chat.
do.
Let's take that to the chat. Chat, what do you think? What has more style points? Aluren?
Aluren might be resolving right now.
This is weird. So Dan attacked with both of his Deathrite Shamans.
Yeah, just
rather
because
than
they
leaving
ran
them
out
up
of
for
targets.
Force of Will. Yeah,
for
but
dealing damage.
he also took away his capability of hard casting Force of Will.
Right.
So
well, he
shields
did
are down.
it so that he could get damage in because he did run out of damage sources with them. But oh man,
oof,
that's a big game.
So that's a Minister of Pain right there. So I believe that is the exploit.
Pain.
Yeah, there it is.
Shrieking Harpy. Pick up my Minister of Pains.
Ooh, and that's gonna get rid of all of the Deathrite Shamans.
Deathrite's down. Dan with 1 or 2 cards in hand.
It's a C and a Force.
It's a lone Force of Will.
It's a C and a Force because it's the C he dazed. He bounced back with Daze last turn.
And I wouldn't really
he's got
call
Force
Dan's
back on
play
now.
with attacking with the Deathrite Shamans a punt. I mean, I guess you could, but I think it's kind of reasonable just to be attacking since you already dazed the first Aluren. So,
well, also
there's only 4 in the deck.
I mean, there's an argument for why would your opponent just cast Intuition for a 4th land and then just jammed without any backup on their Aluren?
Yeah.
Like, they probably just have to have a second Aluren if they didn't force you back.
Yeah, or something, because they have to expect a Daze out of the Delver deck.
Yeah.
And once
at least Daze.
Harlan with the top-notch commentary to correct my mistakes, and it seems like the chat does agree with Harlan that it was a punt, but I'm going to give Dan the benefit of the doubt here. I will be perfectly fine being wrong in this situation, and it looks like we almost had a combo kill with the Imperial Recruiter.
We had Dan the old show you I have the combo, kill you, all Force of Will you.
That always feels good. I'm definitely a big fan of forcing them when they think they have the combo.
Yeah. I think Kiet's also right to just assume he doesn't have Force of Will. Since he didn't leave up Force of Will for the second Aluren that he obviously had.
See, that's just good.
He was thinking ahead. See, he was 2 steps ahead right there.
Dan was just thinking 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, like, instead of just losing the game on the spot, now I have to, crawl back into it.
Yeah.
So, in the meantime, Dan drew another Force of Will off the top to get the Recruiter again. And Kiet's going to put the Recruiter back on top of his library.
And it looks like he did. Oh, unfortunately, though, he's going with the Wasteland. Here. He has the Wasteland for the Volrath Stronghold.
Just throws all his cards in the...
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he's just dead.
Yep.
Stronghold. Dark Goyf Mystic Stronghold is so good. It's definitely given me a lot of problems in the past. And it's not a card that I look forward to playing with. But that's why I play a minimum of 2 Rest in Peace in my sideboard of every Miracles deck. But also, Rest in Peace is one of my favorite cards. And that just tells you a little bit about the type of person I am, since Rest in Peace is one of my favorite cards. And I believe the current salt level is 4. And
out of 5?
I'm not sure the exact scale, but I would say a 4 salt level. Just with my complete ignorance and guessing, I'm gonna say that's a uh, stadium hot dog level of salt.
That's like a 2.
Is it? I guess we just have different opinions on the appropriate salt level of stadium hot dogs.
The
Four,
appropriate or
four
the
seems like a
actual?
bowl of ramen to me.
Okay, bowl of ramen. I can dig it. And it looks like we're at 90 viewers. If any of you guys have a few other friends that are into legacy coverage, please let them know about the chat and direct them to our Facebook page. Like us on any of the social media that you use.
Yeah,
And it
so
looks like
I'm going to agree
McNabb
with
is on
Clutchberg
my
here.
side. Stadium Pretzel is a level 6 salt level. And we're 9 away from 100 viewers. Please, can we break 100 tonight? Even if you don't like legacy coverage, if you just want to see me look dumb, that's definitely a reason to tune into the stream.
So going back to that critical turn when Dan failed to leave up Force of Will, I am going to agree with Clutchberg in the chat here. I don't think, with Force of Will in hand, I don't think you can do that against Aluren because you're putting the shields down for them to just cast Aluren and kill you, and that's exactly what happened. So I really do think that was the wrong play. I think you definitely,
Yeah, I think you
especially
can also, from the way the game played out, deduce that he has a second Aluren. Because he cast Intuition to find a 4th land, not to find 3 Force of Wills. Like, even if I have Aluren in that situation, I'm not going to go find the 4th land. I'm going to find 3 Force of Wills, take a Force of Will, and hope to draw the 4th land so that I can Aluren with Force backup and hope that's good enough. But if I'm just finding the 4th land, that means I'm either have Force backup already, or I just have 2 Allurens and I'm just going to jam.
That's
And
definitely
when
yeah.
I don't fight back over your
And that's
days,
understandable. So last week Dan was talking about how he was brand new to the deck, so I think that's just another one of those issues.
Oh, okay. I
Absolutely.
did not know that.
And I feel like that
With
just goes
it
back to
being
our
Curio
earlier
Cavern, I
point.
just assume everyone's played their deck a whole lot.
Oh no. There's definitely some that just goes back to our earlier point. That Legacy is it's such a deep format, so it really rewards you consistently playing with the same deck over and over again, so that you know the ins and outs and every optimal line. And yeah, I definitely appreciate your comment, Harlan, about um, looking deeper into that intuition
Why players do
about
the
why
things
he
they do.
picked. Yeah, absolutely. That's a very, very good point that I need to get better at, and that is why Harlan has 2 top 8s and 1 win, while I have 0 top 8s and 0 wins. So there's that, and that's why they pay Harlan the big bucks. And the next round is about to start. That's what we're being told.
Man, Legacy's sweet.
Legacy.
Wish I got to play more of it.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm also a little happy I don't get to play more of it, because I wouldn't play enough of it to be really good at it. So
Absolutely.
So I have the
it's all about
opportunity.
playing it a lot.
Yeah, living where I live, I'm in Ellicott City, Maryland. I actually have the opportunity to play 3 to 4 tournaments of Legacy per week, which is just an absurdly high amount.
Absolutely. That's actually absurd for like Mid-Atlantic standards as well. Most people only play. I feel like the Mid-Atlantic region is one of the best places to be if you're into Legacy. Just because there's so many stores and there's so many players here that just love Legacy and they really just want to see the format grow, and that's why you see us here at Snapcasters, just people like Kory who step up after there's a decrease in legacy coverage, and they just step up and fill that role of bringing us legacy coverage multiple nights a week, which is really great, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, the Legacy community in the Mid-Atlantic region, like from around Virginia up through, say, New York, New Jersey, very tight-knit, so and very well-traveled. Definitely
Absolutely.
willing to support, a robust tournament setting And it's pretty much the existence of this stream is thanks to that Legacy community, because we stream Legacy on this channel 3 times a week.
Wow, Dark Goyf Mystic. It's really great to see other areas of the country with you being in Seattle playing Legacy 4 nights a week. That's really great to see. And I really wish, personally, that Wizards would take that into consideration when they plan out the number of Legacy GPs. Because, like, you see a lot of people. I know multiple people who flew out to France last year to just go to a Legacy tournament or a Legacy GP for the chance of just like playing Legacy at the highest level that you can.
Yep,
And I'm really
the most recent GP we saw up in GP Seattle, we had hometown hero Jarvis Yu from Maryland take the whole thing down, playing against Christian Calcano, who's a pro Magic player also from the same region. So just crazy stuff.
That's fantastic, Great Whaler, and I'm really glad to see Great Whaler that you're going to go to Chiba. I wish I could go. If you want to buy a ticket as well, I'd be more than happy to travel with you, and you get to spend the whole trip with me doing this great coverage.
You're gonna do coverage instead of playing in the GP?
I mean, if Great Whaler wants to buy me a ticket, I will go follow him and just cover all of his matches personally. I have. But I'm sure Wizards is gonna want to hire me for their coverage team after this amazing stream. Thank you, and also
I mean,
guys,
you're doing better than Bueller at least.
absolutely. But yeah, guys, this is my first stream. I really appreciate it. This is just fantastic. I've had such a blast.
So this next match we have coming up is Chris Barrett on Jund again versus Derek Heinbach playing Red Green Lands. So this is actually going to play out quite a bit like our round 1 match, which was Eldrazi versus 4-color Loam, where the Jund deck is like built to prey on those Delver decks and just be a little more mid-rangey than them. And the Lands deck is just doing something so much larger and more powerful that the Jund deck's not going to be able to get under them, and it's just going to fold.
Absolutely, and I feel like this is decks like Lands and Storm and other more combo-y decks like that are one of the biggest reasons that I personally feel like you shouldn't, that are one of the big cons of playing decks like Jund or these non-Force of Will decks. Or not just, I mean, I guess Lands is also really good against Force of Will decks, but just it's hard for Jund to interact with Lands or other combo decks on a really good, really powerful level.
Yeah,
and
like Jund and Lands have the same bad matchups, and the good matchups for both decks, Lands, the matchups like even better for.
Yeah, a lot of the axes that Jund is fighting on, discard, removal with lightning bolt, and abrupt decay, are just like Lands just doesn't care. Okay, you're gonna thought seize me, and you're gonna take my life from the Loam. Sweet, now my dredge engine's online. Like,
and
unless you were on the play and take my mana accelerant,
and you can see
you're
that
gonna have
right
problems.
now, like this draw from Lands right now with the turn 1 exploration. Loam, Wasteland you, and Jay Winner. We weren't hating on Randy. It wasn't so much that as just complimenting my commentary prowess. So don't think that we don't like Randy over here.
To be fair, mine was definitely an out of line comment about Randy. But
absolutely, much like most of Harlan's life, he is out of line.
Whoa, that's needlessly aggressive.
On Derek's turn, he's going to drop a second Wasteland and a Dark Depths, so we might be off of the races here.
Yeah, it's really going to be up to Chris to be able to find some sort of answer to this Dark Depths, which I'm not super familiar with the Jund decks, but I can't think of anything that Jund would reasonably play in their main deck that deals with a Merit Lage.
So he cast Hymn to Torok. I didn't see what he got Derek to discard, but it looks like one of the cards is Life in the Loam, which goes back to what I'm talking about. Like, the discard is just useless when you're just fueling their dredge engine.
Yeah, discard against Life from the Loam is quite poor. I remember when I was playing at the Eternal Weekend, I went turn one Thoughtseize against my opponent in the dark, and he revealed uh, 4 lands, 3 Life from the Loams, and I immediately scooped up all my permanents because there's no
You
way
should
that
have
I could.
surgical extracted him.
If I was playing Surgical in the main deck, I definitely would have loved to do that. But that just speaks to the power of this lands deck. It's just able to attack on a completely different axis, and Life from the Loam is just so powerful. It does everything that this land deck wants to do, especially when it has Exploration in play.
Yeah. And you see Chris is able to fetch out some basics from his deck, but that's going to hinder him on mana later down the road. He really is going to feel the pressure of that eventually. And that's just because RG lands can just loop wastelands against you and
Yeah,
keep you
he
completely off
already
the
could
map.
wasteland lock Chris, so
Yeah.
Chris is gonna have to play with 1 red mana a turn at most.
Absolutely, and
Rest of the game.
that's one of the problems that a lot of people find themselves against a lot of these Wastelands decks is that if you have this choice of either fetching up your basics and sacrificing appropriate mana, or just trying to just play your non-basic lands through their Wastelands, and that's definitely a strategy I like a lot more against decks like Delver or Rug Delver, where they can't recur their Wastelands. But I feel like fetching up your basics is as not optimal, or it's not the best thing you can do against red green lands. It is the best choice out of the worst options, you know?
And here's a Rashadenport acting as a pseudo wasteland on one of the basic lands each turn
Yeah.
to make it so Chris can only use his mana in his upkeep if he has something to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
Chris has a Liliana in his hand, which doesn't really do much, but it at least would be something. Work up to the ultimate. But with Port tapping down the swamp, there's really not much he can do.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't really see an avenue for Chris to win this match. Just I feel like this match has really showcased the power of exploration and life from the loam out of the red green lands deck. Words are hard once again.
Yep, I mean the deck is very, very strong with an exploration or a mana bond in play. You can outpace them. You can play a tempo game against them if you're playing like something like Delver or maybe Stoneblade. If you can counter that initial exploration, but if they have that card, they just will outrun a lot of decks in the format.
Especially a lot of these more fair decks like Jund or I guess even something as fair as Delver's Secrets, you can just use your life from the loam and exploration to just get ahead. And when your opponent is not cheating you out of the win, I guess. Well, I mean, I guess things like storms aren't cheating, but it kind of feels like that sometimes when you're playing lands. I guess it's just really more when your opponent is attacking on a fair access instead of uh, doing something like Show and Tell Emrakul or Tendrils you for 10 Storm Count or any of these other combo decks in Legacy. It's just really hard to win.
To be fair, Storm really isn't doing anything. Like Storm basically is cheating, but then again, so is lands. You know,
That is,
the decks that
Just
aren't cheating
other ends
are
of the
like
spectrum.
the Delver decks, Miracles, Jund, Shardless
Oh no,
Bug.
Delver's
Like
cheating.
these fair mid-rangey decks.
yeah. And even if you
Delver's
talk,
Everyone
cheating
else
to
is
get a
definitely trying to
Stifle Wasteland them
exploit
out of the game.
something.
if you talk to a lot of players, I feel like they're gonna feel like Miracles is also cheating. I definitely have had a few salty players after I win the match with Miracles.
To be fair, I've had somebody tell me that Stifle needs to be banned.
Oh, get out.
So people
If you're
just get
gonna,
salty, man. It's just gonna happen.
there are a lot of unfair decks in Legacy.
Yeah, Miracles is
A lot
not
of
one of them.
cards, and a
If you
lot of
don't like-
cards that I feel like could be banned. Stifle is not one of them.
Yeah.
If
I
you
don't
don't
think
like,
top
if you
should
think
be banned.
Stifle's that bad, just play a Stompy deck.
Yeah, just don't play fetch lands, and then
Yeah.
Stifle looks real bad.
Yeah, the Elzar Cascade is also very close on the fair unfair scale. Cascade is
So,
Oh,
back to the
not at
game a little
all.
bit. Looks like Derek has found a Ghost Quarter, so now he can start attacking Chris's basics and run his deck out of basics, and he just completely
man.
mana.
I'm surprised he has a third basic. Honestly.
Yeah.
You gotta respect that Blood Moon. You gotta respect the Wasteland.
Yeah, but the third basic in Legacy doesn't matter for Blood Moon. Like, you might get one fetch activation before the Blood Moon comes into play in Legacy.
That's also
They aren't
fair.
they aren't fair Blood Moons when you play them on turn 3. They're just getting played on turn 1. So the basics aren't nearly as important.
And Chris is finally pulling the trigger on that Abrupt Decay on Exploration. I guess he's...
Yeah, it's definitely too late for that.
I am
Yeah,
stunned
I mean,
it took
he's
him
got
that long.
he's got 9 lands in play already. I feel like Exploration definitely has already done its work.
It slows down the life from the Loam engine, but it's definitely going to be too little too late.
Yeah. Has Derek been hard removing his ice counters from Merit Lage? I feel like he missed the opportunity last turn.
I don't know. But,
yeah, he
well,
might have,
Chris
but
is
Chris
speaking
just
with me.
packs it in.
Yeah, he knows that game is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Zephy 24. Blood Moon is... I don't know if you're... I'm just going to take that as a serious question. A Blood Moon is a 3-mana enchantment, 2 and 1 red, for an enchantment that turns all non-basic lands
Kory
in
got the
play.
Oracle text for you.
There we go. Non-basic lands are mountains. So that can definitely win you a lot of games on the spot against a lot of these Delver decks where they just are completely cold to the Blood Moon that resolves.
So,
I'm just
I
gonna
didn't realize
assume
I
this is a
wasn't
real
watching the
question.
chat, but I just realized that Zaith is my fiance, and she knows both what a Blood Moon is and what a non-basic land is. So she is just trolling the hell out of you.
That's
All right.
so
That's
good.
totally fair because
That is so unreal good.
like me being wrong most of the time, I'm also very susceptible to being trolled.
I just checked the
Congratulations,
chat,
Premiering.
and that is actually my fiance, and she knows both what a Blood Moon and a non-basic land are. And she's in fact just trolling the shit out of you.
But for the 87 viewers who may not be completely familiar with Magic the Gathering, I'm here to look out for you and make sure that you guys know what's going on to the best of my ability, which is, to be fair, quite limited.
For any of you who would like to meet Simba in the flesh at any open that you are at this year, you can find me and I will introduce you to Simba. And you can make fun of him to his face like everyone else.
That's totally fine. That's what I signed up for here at Snapcasters. Also, if you haven't found Harlan, I'm gonna be the guy playing in the awesome Lion King playmat. So if you see a guy with a Lion King playmat, odds are it's probably me. I'm a very handsome, half Filipino, half Irish man. I use very handsome loosely. And now we are sideboarding.
Well, we're done sideboarding. We're shuffling up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, good. Please, Kory, do not get a Lion King playmat and trash players.
Kory, please do. I'll actually pitch in on that.
Kory, if you get a Lion King playmat and you put the Snapcasters logo on it, I'll snap by it.
I would also be very close to buying that. Oh, it looks like we're at 93 players. Come on, guys. If you haven't already, please like the Snapcasters Facebook page. Now we're down to 92. I'm sorry if I scared somebody away. Oh, nope. It looks like we're back up to 93.
Oh,
We just
God.
need
Please
7
stop
more
updating.
We just need 7 more.
Too many updates.
The 100 viewer mark. If you guys have any friends that are in for a good time, in for listening to a guy make an ass out of himself, please direct them to the stream. And it looks like we are here. We're resolving mulligans. And from what I can tell, Chris has a couple of lands, a Punishing Fire, a Liliana, and I believe a Surgical Extraction and a Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
Surgical
From what we can tell, Chris is already dead again.
It looks like Chris is actually going to be on a pretty strong start. I think this is just about as strong a start as he can get with the turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, as well as having the...
Oh, man.
As well as the...
Let's hope he has an Abrupt Decay, otherwise this game is going to get real bad real quick.
So that is a Molten Vortex for Derek Heinbach's side. For those of you who don't know, it's a 1-red enchantment. You pay a red, discard a land from your hand, and 2 damage to a creature or player. So
Did
that's
Chris just draw his own Life from the Loam?
I believe so. It looks like it's
So
below that Sylvan
I'm a
Library.
fan of Jund and Shardless Bug players playing Life from the Loam, but I do not think this is the matchup where you want it because they have the mana accelerants like Mana Bond and Exploration. You're just not going to be able to keep up.
Unfortunately, Chris does not have a second land here, but he does have a Sylvan Library, which should be able to get him some more lands here by being able to look at the top 3 in his
Oh
draw
man,
step.
here comes the Warping Whale.
Is that
No
an actual
way.
Warping Well? Thank you, Bo 2123 Yaw. Really appreciate you following us. If you haven't already, please like us on Facebook. Share
So
it.
we didn't get a Warping Whale cast. We did get a Vortex pitch. So Deathrite Shaman's
Yep.
off the table.
All right. So Warping Well is the new card from Oath of the Gatewatch, which is 1 generic mana, 1 waste mana for target creature gets +3/-3. That is
No.
It's
the
not.
3 modes. It's the 3 modes spell.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
has 3 modes.
Once again, I am wrong. I believe that is a wrong count.
So the
of
first mode
4.
is, as you can see in the chat, the first mode is you exile a target creature with power or toughness 1 or less. The second mode is Envelop, so counter target sorcery spell, and the final mode is you get a 1/1 Eldrazi Scion that you can sacrifice for a colorless. So just very, very useful spell across the board in Legacy.
Absolutely. There's so many powerful creatures in Legacy that have either 1 power or 1 toughness, like Delver of Secrets, Deathrite Shaman,
Yeah,
Young
Many
Pyromancer.
decks
I mean, the
fold
list
to
goes
the
on and
1/1
on.
aggro plan.
But
Absolutely.
the other thing that's really interesting about it is that it's good against those Delver decks, it's good against those Fair decks, but it's also really good against the combo decks, like the Storm decks, because the choke point spells like Infernal Tutor and Past in Flames are sorceries.
And we have a Gamble on Derek's side. Gamble's, I definitely feel like it's
Gamble,
one of the more powerful card. It's definitely a very powerful card in this lands deck where normally you're getting either a Life from the Loam or a Punishing Fire, so it doesn't really matter if you have to discard that card. And even in the case of Life from the Loam, you'd really prefer it to be discarded, so it immediately goes to the graveyard and it starts getting to work.
yeah, you can also get a land if you've already got the Loam engine up and running too. So
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a free roll. And here we have a Surgical Extraction from Chris's side, and that's going to let him pay 2 Phyrexian mana to exile that Life from the Loam, as well as looking at Derek's hand and library to exile any further Life from the Loams from the game, which is
minor
definitely...
correction. It's 1 friction
Yeah,
mana,
it's
2
2
life.
life, 1 Phyrexian mana.
Oh, excuse me. Once again, wrong count 5.
No, wrong count is like 17.
I'm going to go with
Minimum.
wrong count 5.
It's like 17 is like that's like going easy on you.
All right, that's fine. So yeah, this is definitely a really good play from Chris, and it's really gonna put a hamper on Derek's strategy. This land deck without Life from the Loam is definitely not as powerful at all,
We'll just follow up with the Dark Depths next turn.
and
It'll be fine.
that is one of the more powerful parts of the red-green land strategy. Absolutely. Kory, if you want to make a wrong count, that would be fantastic, especially if that means that you still want me to come back.
Marcus says
Do
the wrong
more
count's at
commentation.
1738.
That's probably accurate. I'm not gonna...
We can trust him. He's good at math, I promise.
Yeah. And I mean, even if I do try and disagree with it, I'll probably just end up upping that wrong count even more. Turn 1 Lackey. I don't know if he has the 4th Loam in hand. I don't believe he will, because that would mean Chris messed up on that Surgical Extraction, because Surgical Extraction does look at the hand and is able to...
Hey, look, the Dark Depths. We found it.
This match just got so much harder for Chris Barrett.
has the 1 outer. He has to draw a Wasteland this turn.
Absolutely.
Or find it off Sylvan Library.
Yep. So this is the thing about extracting Life from the Loam is, Yeah, it's a really, really strong play, but sometimes they just draw Dark Depth stage off the top and just kill you.
And
Yep.
that is
And Chris is dead.
one of the very annoying parts with life from the Loam and the red-green land stack. I remember definitely feeling super in control with surgical extracting life from the Loam and having a meddling mage on punishing fire, and then just dying to a top deck thespian
Yeah,
staging.
I've seen Thespian stage get extracted, and then they just natural the 2020. Like they just slowly tick it down. I've seen Punishing Fire get surgical extracted. They just lose to the 2020. There's just too many things going on for surgical to be really what you want to do.
That's one of the big problems with fighting this red-green lands deck. Like, so sometimes you'll take the line. So the red-green lands deck it does a very good job of fighting that attrition war, where it'll just like use its engines and life from the Loam and punishing fire to just grind you out of the game. And so if you try to fight it on that axis, you can just get hosed by top deck Thespian Sage life from the Loam, activate Thespian Sage, derp, 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 derp. You're dead.
I think Chris is on the just hope he doesn't do it line.
That's definitely a great line, and it's definitely a line that I have
I think it's his only path
fallen
to victory here.
prey to many times. But unfortunately, Derek is a better player than me, and he does make the 2020.
Even have the $30 Merit Lage token.
$30?
Yeah.
That is definitely many more dollars than I thought it would be.
I
And
can
Chris is going to be
check that real
scooping
quick.
it up.
He's going to pay 2 and scoop. That's what he's going to do.
So, I feel like we've seen a lot of 2-0 wins here in the.
Yeah, we've seen a lot
It
of
is Legacy.
sweeps.
And we didn't see very many blue decks.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see any miracles, which always makes me happy, or any.
I'm sorry, the token is $18 on Star City.
That's still quite a large amount of dollars for a simple
It
token.
is, in fact, worth more than Thespian Stage.
It's a lot of money, especially when they won't even let you use it on camera.
But here at Snapcasters, we allow it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're crazy here. We're like TGI Fridays. Oh, no, we're not like TGI Fridays.
Yeah,
They
let's not be
stepped
like
their game.
TGI Fridays.
Oh, 100 viewers. We cracked it. We did it.
Yes!
Hey, right at the end of the night.
Clutchberg. Shout out to Clutchberg. Following us on Twitch. We're on Twitch. If you haven't already, please like us on Facebook for more updates. 101 viewers. Thank you, Typical.
Miracles is banned on camera by David Gerhardt. All right.
All right, so unfortunately, we won't be seeing more Miracles play. So for people like Sean Park or Honorang Das, they might not be able to get the coverage that they rightly deserve.
So turn 1 Lackey, yeah, the Sean Park was playing Goblins last week. He had it on camera. He had a legendary game where he was just like dead on board and then what is the Goblin Ringleader and flipped 4 Goblins, including another Ringleader, and then cast the other Ringleader and flipped 3 more Goblins, and all of a sudden he had a full grip.
Man, how
That's
lucky.
the power of goblins. And I'm sorry, that's not the power of goblins, that's the power of Blammo from Sean Park.
From
I'm sure there were many
Ponchart
Blammos that game.
himself.
All right, regular John. So you had the privilege of playing the Kory Ponting at External Extravaganza Satellite. Fantastic. Are there any other McMav09? Are there any other decks that are banned by David Gearhart so I can get a feel for what can I expect to see on future coverage streams?
Hashtag Blammo.
Absolutely, turn one Lackey. Goblins is a very sweet deck. It's a very hard deck for me to deal with, coming from a Miracles player.
Do
Do you know what's really
You
good
guys-
against turn 1 Lackey?
Deathray Shaman.
Death Rush Shaman.
Yep.
Lightning Bolt. Source to Plowshares.
Yeah,
Delver of
unfortunately-
Secrets.
unfortunately,
Nimble Mongoose.
Goblins has not gotten as many toys as other legacy decks.
Dark Ritual. Exploration.
But don't. Even though all those cards are very good against Lackey, turn 1 Lackey, don't be discouraged. Goblins is still a fun deck to play. Even though I personally would not play it at an open, I wouldn't fault anybody for doing it. Tarfire, Warping Will, and Sting Scourger are very good against Deathrite Shaman. So McMath is
Sting Scourger is mediocre against Deathrite, but I guess it depends on what you're putting in with the
Well,
Lackey.
Yeah, if it's to get a Lackey and to drop a Ringleader or a Siege Gang or something, yeah.
Dredge's banned as well. That's really Ooh,
I am
you won a
fine
classic.
with that.
Congratulations.
Oh man, we got a Kemper Pogue match on here.
Ooh, Kemper Pogue, the Kemper Pogue.
We're not trying to discourage you, turn 1 Lackey. We're just it's all good. It's all in good fun.
Absolutely. We like to have fun here at Snapcasters. McMav, is Dredge really banned from coverage? That is quite disappointing to hear. I love watching a good Dredge match. I love watching people not play Magic at a Magic tournament. It's quite fun.
Kemper is playing Shardless Bug? How boring. I thought he was better than this. This matchup actually will be very good, though.
Yes, absolutely.
These
Charlie-
games go very long, and they're very good and grindy.
And that's the Magic I like to watch and play. I want to play mid-rangey, grindy decks all day long.
That's pretty much all I want to do with my time.
Absolutely. What's the point? Like, just a boring combo deck where you win and your opponent didn't do anything? No. I want to play a long, grindy game of Magic where you just wear
Where
down
Simba
your
gets to make a
opponents
lot of wrong decisions.
and win anyway.
Just get bailed out by the top card of your deck 5 or 6 times.
Absolutely.
7 or 8 times for Simba, but yeah. You get the idea.
That's why I did so well with Esper Control when Dig Through Time was banned or was not banned.
Yeah, because he had so many good top decks, like Cabal Therapy in his non-Gataxian Probe Mentor deck.
I wasn't playing. I was.
Oh,
playing
yeah, I forgot you
Cabal
weren't playing
Therapy
Cabal
in the
Therapy.
board.
You were just
And
playing Thoughtseize.
That 100% was a mistake, but I was only playing Thought.
Dude, you probably would have won the Classic instead of losing in the finals.
I would have 100% won that classic, but that is only because I'm not confident. I am not confident in my Cabal Therapy skills. I'm too scared of just naming the 100% incorrect card because
Right,
as you
but
see,
you'll name the wrong card and then they'll have it and you'll be a master.
God, why are you telling me this now? Why couldn't you have
I
told me
told
this?
you that beforehand.
I don't believe you did.
You wouldn't listen to me.
I don't believe you did.
I definitely did.
Once again, the wrong count for Simba has gone up
Dude.
again.
We're definitely keeping a wrong count for the Team CLGP.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are going to be at the Team Steel GP, please say hi to me and Harlan. You guys see us?
And our glorious team member, Matt Scott.
Absolutely. I'm sure Matt Scott knows half the people in this chat because Matt Scott knows everybody.
Matt Scott does
And-
know a lot of people.
And it looks like we are starting game 3 here.
3.
Shardless Bug.
It'll be
versus
interesting
Dark-
to see who's on the play.
Yeah.
It looks
And-
like it's Thomas because he's mulliganing first.
Yeah.
Does Kemper have a second land?
I'm not sure. I don't see one right now.
Yeah, because he only plays old fetches. I know that.
Yeah, I don't. I believe there is a Deathrite Shaman.
And a tropical island, right?
Is that a Verdant Catacombs, though?
I
I
hope
see
so,
something
'cause
that
he
looks
capped.
kind of like a Verdant Catacombs.
No, he
Oh,
mulliganed.
no, he is
Okay.
not. I know, Harlan. I know you're a big fan of that until waiting until your opponent, if you're on the
Well,
draw.
no, so I just don't look at my hand until my opponent said that they're keeping or not when they're on the play. because that way they don't get the reaction of me looking at my hand.
I personally am just
Yeah,
whatever.
but like when
I'd
I like
rather-
look at my 7 on the play and my opponent's looking at their hand and I can see their face, I know I can keep a loose hand, like a kind of sketchy hand, if I know they're mulliganing
I think this just comes
because of
down
how
to
they're looking at their hand.
Yeah,
I
there's a
think this
lot of
just comes
players that
down
give
to
away
you
free
having
information.
better instincts than me, Harlan.
Yeah, I have a lot
Yeah,
of better other things than you too. But what does that have to do with magic?
Ooh, Harlan, we got a
Shots
good
fired.
question.
Okay.
Ooh,
We got a
good
good question for you. What's the difference between Dark Loam, Aggro Loam, and lands? I feel like you are one of the best people. You're better than me to answer
So,
this question.
Agroloam describes an old, dead archetype now that used to work because damage used to go on the stack, where it used Countryside Crusher and Devastating Dreams to wrath all the lands, and then the Crusher used to live through the Devastating Dreams because the damage would go on the stack and his triggers for all the lands dying would go on the stack, and then you would grow it, and then the damage would go onto it. So it would live through Devastating Dreams. Now it doesn't work anymore. And then that deck is just bad against days, and it's just kind of had its time in the sun and passed. 4-color Loam, or Dark Loam, is like what Thomas is playing. Sometimes they play Burning Wish, sometimes they don't. It's more of just like a grindy, mid-rangey, control-y, like... It's like a Jund deck that has a big land theme in it. And then lands is just kind of like a combo lock stacks-ish deck, where you just want to like completely grind your opponent out and then make a 20-20 and kill them.
Yep. And so back to the game, we have a great start from Thomas here with the turn 1 Dark Confidant, followed up by the turn 2 Scavenging Ooze with only a Nihil Spellbomb and a Polluted Delta from Kemper.
Ooh, Tom's gonna flip a land for his Bob, so no life lost there.
Just a free card. And we have a bash for 4. Kemper's going to go to 13. And hopefully we don't see Thomas run away with this game. I mean, that's going to be great for Thomas and all you Dark Loam fans out there. But I'd much rather see a really good grindy interactive game of Magic.
Let's be honest, we're all biased towards Kemper. Maybe not.
Absolutely.
Maybe not
I mean,
Jameson, but we'll just see a Shardless agent and do an abrupt can, and it'll all be fine.
that would be fantastic. I mean, I'm always going to be on the side of the deck that is capable of just casting Recall for free sometimes, and just sometimes waiting a couple
Really not
turns.
even that far behind.
Ooh, and it looks like we do have a Shardless agent. Oh no, we have a Toxic Deluge. That's going to be a...
Oh, that's even
It's
better.
also a very good card.
That's even better.
That's going to clear up the board for just the cost of 2 life from Kemper's side, and looks like we're going to have a really good game here.
Yeah, the Visions sitting in his hand is going to be very good for when we go long.
Absolutely. So let's see, what's in, can we see what is in Thomas's hand right now? I see is that a Wasteland or
A Savannah.
Over the... Oh, okay.
There's certainly a
dual-
Savannah there.
Yeah, I think there's a duel, a wasteland, and he's carefully guarding it from the camera lens. He's gonna waste the sea.
That's a great. You want to just make sure your blue opponent is not able to cast blue spells, and we have a Liliana following this up. That's definitely.
I'm
a
actually
pretty good-
very surprised that Kemper still has Force of Will in his deck.
Yeah, that is definitely a interesting card to see here in Game 3. I guess he just really is respecting the power of some of the cards like Knight of the Reliquary, I guess, and Liliana of the Veil.
Maybe he's worried about Chalice on one.
That's also true.
Well, I mean,
He was
Shardless
on the
Book doesn't
draw.
really have that many ones, and it just
Yeah.
has Abrupt Decay to solve all 3 of those cards.
Yeah. Ooh, this is a
Oh,
great
and here's the
sideboard card
Centaur.
that we see. That's definitely gonna.
Centaur Vinecrasher.
I believe it's when it comes in, not as. Oh, it has to be ads. It's a 0/0, right? No,
It's a 1/1.
It's a 1/1. It is trample centaur. Enters the battlefield
Yeah.
with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of lands in all graveyards. That's something I didn't know. I thought it
Yeah,
was
so I
just
think
around.
I'm surprised Kemper didn't crack the Nihil spell bomb, but I was just gonna pulse
Oh,
it and
he's
then
just
spell
gonna
bomb
get
it.
rid of it. Get rid of it once and for all because I believe it does have a. Oh, it does have a
No,
landfall.
you can rebuy it.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
but
land
he's
has
gonna
to go
wait
into a
for the trigger to
graveyard.
go on the stack and then crack the spell bomb on it.
Yep.
Well, that's just. There's
But
gonna be
if
two
Thomas
triggers
plays
on
a
the stack
second
now.
fetch land here,
So
then
now
it would
Thomas
be
is
bad
going to
for
be
him.
able to respond with the activation of his Windswept Teeth to be able to get that Centaur into play.
Yeah, but a land has to go to the graveyard first. Kemper should have done this on his turn because now Thomas can, if he ever draws
A
another
second
fetch
fetch.
land or a wasteland, he can
Oh.
just trigger it a second time.
Okay, I thought I misread the Vine Crasher's ability. I thought it was more of a landfall ability when a land enters play
It's
instead
when
of
it goes to a
graveyard.
graveyard.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely would have been a fan of Kemper activating that spell bomb when he could.
What's interesting here with Centaur Vinecrasher's buyback ability is it says whenever a land card's put in a graveyard from anywhere, so that it would include dredging for Loam.
It also would include discarding the Liliana.
That's true.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make it hard for Kemper to get rid of this Centaur.
Yeah, that is a very difficult threat for Kemper to answer, especially being a 4-mana spell. He can't use it Abrupt Decay either.
Kemper's usually a pretty heads-up player, and I think he would have spellbombed it immediately if he had played against the card before, but it's fairly new and a very niche card.
Absolutely.
So I'm guessing this is the first time he's ever played against it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really doubt Kemper has seen this card in play at all, outside of a spoiler or something like that. Ooh, Thomas is playing this for the first time too, which is definitely very interesting. And it looks like, yeah,
What
Thomas
is
is going to get this. So there was an Abrupt
he's
Decay
Abrupt
on the
Decaying
Nihil
the
Spellbomb.
Nihil spellbomb.
Kemper is responding by activating it, and then Thomas is going to be activating it again by cracking his fetch and triggering the Centaur Vine Crasher. So we're going to end up here with Kemper drawing a card and Thomas with a Vine Crasher in play.
Hand. It goes to hand.
Oh, and hand. Okay, that's
yeah,
that's
it's
better.
not that good.
Definitely better. Oh, thank God. So I'm not as scared of the Vine Crasher as I was before. Yeah, Sunny T24. I believe we did see Thomas try and punishing fire that Liliana before he had priority, but I believe it looks like
It
he
worked
just
out quite well for him that he didn't do that.
absolutely.
Oh man, the Dryad Arbor to protect the Vine Crasher even.
Absolutely. That's gonna make this Vine Crasher so much harder to deal with since Thomas is gonna be able
Vine
to
Crasher
sacrifice
costs
that.
4 mana too, right? So you can't even Abrupt Decay it?
You cannot Abrupt Decay it, and
Correct.
it looks like
You also cannot Abrupt Decay Dryad Arbor because it is a land permanent.
Yep.
it's going to be interesting to see Kemper be able to get out of this one. It looks like Thomas is he's really ahead here. I mean, he's got the Vine Crasher, which is a 4 CMC permanent that's going to be able to take care of this Liliana as well as having the Punishing Fire combo with Grove of the Burn Willows. I feel like it's going to take a Shardless Agent into Ancestral Visions to catch Kemper back up here.
It is funny about
Totally.
Legacy that there are decks that can kill you on turn 1, and then there's decks that when they match up, a 4 mana 4/4 is the best thing that either player can be doing.
And this is
In
a
their
great turn
entire
from
deck.
Thomas. Being able to... and yep, that's going to be the match. Being able to use the Punishing Fire to kill the Liliana, attack Kemper down to 6, and then play a Chalice of the Void on 1 is just it was just too much for Kemper to handle.
Much. I could set up a stream like and stream an event if I have the availability.
Okay, fantastic. And I mean, I don't know much about Legacy, but I also know just as little about Modern. So if you ever need anybody to commentate, I'm sure me and Harlan can get in there.
We're gonna get so many wrong counts if we do.
Absolutely.
Simba and I are a package deal.
Okay. Yeah. No, you guys are great. Seriously, like it was so nice having all you guys on tonight. We'll definitely have to get you guys back in here as often as possible. And if this is the people's channel, so if we want Modern, we'll get a Modern.
Yeah, I actually know a lot more about Modern these days than I do Legacy.
Would you say you're a Modern Masters?
I certainly would not use the word master, but I was the top finishing twin player when I got banned.
Score.
So I have that for my life to say.
I mean, that's pretty good.
I got to Bob Huang it.
Ooh, that's I like that. That's a good one. I'll have to use that. Shout out to Grizzlepuff if he's in chat.
He was tearing it up earlier. I don't know if he's still there.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Again, shout outs to our awesome commentating crew. Really hope we get you guys back in here sometime.
Yeah, man. Anytime. Just let us know.
Faux show.
This has been
Wednesdays
fantastic.
work pretty well for me.
Okay,
Thank you everybody for watching once again. Thank you for everybody who followed and everybody who liked the Facebook page.
Yeah, shout outs to the chat, everybody. It's really nice. Like it gives me a lot to do to interact with everybody in chat while we're doing this. I'm contemplating maybe showing chat on stream, just because everybody's been really well behaved and really entertaining. So I wouldn't mind sharing that with the viewers, but. I'm going to be working on that coming up. I have a ton of other stuff planned for the stream that I can't really talk about yet. I got to build up some hype for that. But if you guys haven't already, make sure to give us a follow. We're also on Twitter at Snapcasters2U. We tweet anytime we go live or what have you. And located below the stream is a link to our Google Calendar and any upcoming event that's not in a regular schedule. I'm going to put up there. And that's pretty much it. Again, make sure to give us a follow if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. It was a blast. And I will catch you next time.